Well, I think, folks, it is Friday night. If you didn't notice the intro, it's a little bit out of there. It's one of those evenings where if you have something different to say, then tonight's the day to say it. We are going to start to show off. We're going to talk a little bit amongst ourselves here, and then we're going to throw the link in the chat. So if you'd like to come in, we're going to rotate people in and out. It's going to be a great show tonight. So, folks, let's start out. I have David McNiner, and I have Kenny Culp. 49er Kenny Culp. So check him out and check out David. We all work together. We do a lot of stuff and it's a lot of fun. First off, it's been a great, crazy week, folks. It's been, well, it could be better. We could start out and say it like that, but we're not gonna go over and over everything like that. We are going to look for, sometimes, you got to look at the stars and look at the moon and see that there's a future that's coming. And the Niners are still our team. If you still care to root for them, hey, more power to you. If you choose to go elsewhere, okay, well, sorry for your loss, right? Because if you don't play the game, you don't have it, and you don't understand. Every time you play the game, there's an opportunity to win or lose. It's kind of like love, right? You got to love to lose, or if you don't love, then you'll never lose, right? You'll never lose. So there's been that great topic, do you want to always be there, that team that's always there, or do you want to just win one Super Bowl and then not worry about it for a couple of years? Well, for some people, that one Super Bowl means everything. For some people, they just want their team to have that opportunity. They want every year their team to be relevant. Well, I want them to win a Super Bowl, but I'm gonna watch them regardless. They win or lose. I'm going to watch them. I don't root for the ownership. I don't root for individual players. I kind of root for the team because my grandmother said she was a 49er fan. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If she would have said she was a different team, I probably would be rooting for that team. But I love the city of San Francisco. I love the 49er colors. I love the history. I have been rooting for them since I can't remember, really. I know there's baby pictures of me on the wall. I like to tell people I bleed red and gold. I tell people I'm a faithful, but it has been thrown out there. What does faithful mean? Well, faithful is a term that kind of was introduced to the franchise after, let's say maybe 98, 99, closer to the 2000s, early 2000s. I think when it was introduced was after the Raiders coined Raider Nation. People started trying to say every team was a nation, and the Niners got cute and said, we're not a nation, we're an empire. We have championships. You got to be bigger than a nation. You're an empire, right? We take over nations because we had 5 Super Bowls. We were there, right? Well, it's been a very long time since we've been there, but we are glad you guys are here. And let me start out. Let me give it to David. Tell us how you're doing, and we'll give it to Kenny. David.
Well, I'm doing great. Hope Bryant will be right back, folks. But it's a Friday. Don't have to work the weekend. I'm doing fantastic. It's kind of weird. We got no football. The combine's coming, but still disappointed about what happened, folks. And not gonna lie, I'm genuinely heartbroken. It's a hard thing to get there. Kenny, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I've learned to move on after big losses like that after so long, It does suck for the new fans because they want to see a Super Bowl. I totally get it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's selfish, but it's not, right? I mean, you want to be part of the happy Niner fans, not the unhappy Niner fans, because there's a big difference, right? There's people who've only seen us lose. And keep your heads up, because lately we've lost to only the people who've won the Super Bowl. So we've been a hard number 2. I mean, we haven't been able to go all the way yet, but if you think about it, we've won 5. Some teams haven't won any. And look, people are sick of us winning it too. So there's a lot of hate there for us. I know we see so much attention on the Chiefs and stuff, but people dislike them. Every year they win, more and more people will hate the Chiefs. They'll become the bad guy. They'll fall by the wayside, and there'll be a new champion. Who knows who it could be? It could be the Bears. It could be Detroit. It could be Houston. It could be, we'll see. So that's just the passing of the torch. It's what happens. I mean, we can't be sitting here like the Yankees with 3 times the championships as everyone else. I mean, they allowed that to happen in baseball for a long time, and you could see nobody likes the Yankees. They're like the bad guys always. In the movies,
Yes.
if you're trying to get to the playoffs, you have to go through the Yankees all the time in some movie. That's like the iconic team. So I'm all right. I'm ready to move on. I'm interested in doing some research for the draft. So I've just been looking online and finding videos like hour-long mock drafts and specialist talking draft, and I'm throwing it into my research folder, and I'm gonna try and watch all that stuff in the next couple months, so I have an idea what's going on, because I'm not huge with college, so I don't really know much about it.
Oh
So-
my goodness, neither am I. And I actually cheat, and I'll use the mock drafters. You actually just Google, mock draft simulator, and there's a few different choices, folks. I'm not going to name one out. This is not sponsored, but I use those and to learn who's who in the zoo.
Yeah.
And I do my research based off of all the players I see there. Like last year, I wanted to, but this is even after they signed Hargrave. That's all good. I still want a bowling ball for the middle of that defensive line.
Well, there you
I
go.
want a like
Exactly.
6'2", 340-pound unmovable force.
We're going to have to
right
pick
there.
up free agents before the draft. So, and that's less than a month away. So here we go. We got less than a month. We're going to be picking up free agents, and then less than another month, we're going to be ready for the draft again. And then it's going to be the training camp and stuff. It's going to go faster than we think. And the old guys know, because time goes much faster when you're older. And when you're young, a summer feels like a year. But right now, we know those months are going to fly by. February is short this year. March is going to blow by, and we're going to be doing mock drafts and talking draft, and everyone's going to be arguing. And the guy who's getting taken first is going to be taken 20th probably, because by the time that all this time passes, the mock draft also, it's like a roller coaster. You're going to see a lot of names move back and forth. So, do you do any drafts, David?
I did one. The one site I like to use, which is PFF, they lock they want your money. And I'm not a big fan of that. It's like it's free advertising to let someone do a mock draft, folks. I would even do one on my YouTube channel live if they would let me do 7 rounds, but they won't.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to get that. It's going to be another site that's going to get it.
Yeah.
Again, not sponsored, YouTube. But Bryant will be back. Okay, folks?
He's under the hood of the car.
Oh yeah. I mean, last year I wanted that bowling ball, the immovable object, the guy that will, take on two defensive linemen and eat a pizza while he's doing it. That's thicker than a Snicker was the term I was using.
Yeah.
That's the kind of defensive lineman I wanted, and there were about 3-4 guys I actually had my eye on because of the mock drafts, folks. And I actually watched the tape on them, and I like what I saw. They weren't the fastest. They had a really quick first couple steps, which, being an interior defensive lineman, do you need blinding speed? But they were super strong. They could take on multiple offensive linemen by themselves, which would free up guys like Hargrave, Bosa, and at this point, Robert Beal Jr., because, who we have under contract.
Here's a question for you guys about the line, right? We've spent so much money on the line. It didn't work out. It just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Hargrave obviously is staying. I think that they'll try and bring Kinlaw back as long as he, gives you a team-friendly deal. They'll probably bring him back for at least 1 more year. But that middle is going to have to get, beefed up. And the free agents have a quite, 2 or 3 interior defensive linemen that are pretty nasty. Could we kick Eric out to DE permanently if he can return from his injury, or is he gone? Do we have to sign now another another defensive end again?
You want to talk about the top free agent, the guy that's ranked for number one,
CJ.
defensive lineman Chris Jones.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, adding him in, kick Armstead out to the edge. Armstead could play the run. It's just he's not a great pass rusher from the edge.
Yeah.
So it's like, on pass downs, put him on the sideline.
We saw how important stopping the run was for us. If Eric could solidify and seal up the edge like that, that would be pretty devastating. You'd have to worry about just Bosa probably and Hargrave, I would think, right? And whoever we found, to be the other guy there, Kinlaw. But if we brought a Jones, there's somebody from the Vikings, I think. Isn't there also somebody on the Vikings that's an interior lineman?
Well, he's an edge, but Daniil Hunter is a free agent. He's an edge, but he also can set the edge and play the run and pass rush.
And there's a name, Justin Madubuike from the Ravens. Apparently, he's available. He's number 3 top free agent available, interior defensive lineman from the Ravens. That could be devastating. Hargrave, him, Bosa, Armstead, if he could return from his injury. We may not have to sign another defensive end. Or I'm also seeing some Joey Bosa talk. Have you guys seen that?
Well, honestly, when it comes to Armstead, he tore his meniscus.
Yeah,
and that's he'll be ready by the beginning of summer camp.
Right.
And that's.
But he's always chronically. So hopefully
that's exactly it.
We need a miracle.
Plantar fasciitis. And I mean, Chris Jones is the top. Is according to this list the top free agent available. Wow.
There's also somebody in the linebacker crew that could be absolutely devastating. I mean, if we just signed 2 guys on the D line, one for the D line and a linebacker, like Josh Allen from the Jaguars at linebacker, is that a possibility? Or do we have to get a middle linebacker?
Honestly,
I think Greenlaw's hurt worse than we think, and his Achilles. It's going to be a very long time before he comes back. I think we need a linebacker. I do know we drafted a couple linebackers last year, but we'll have to see if they're and we'll see if they go after a linebacker in free agency. Then we'll know if they're confident in the young guys. But I think we need a linebacker.
D. Winters and Jalen Graham. They were the rookies this year. D. Winters has good sideline to sideline speed. He could be good for us. It's just the whole head coach don't like to play rookies thing. We didn't get to see much of him.
And then we're going to expect him to start after his redshirt year like we did with Drake. And look what happened there. That was a disaster. And we started the year with Drake Jackson as our second defensive end, and we were confident. That's kind of scary. That kind of makes me worry a little bit that they thought that he would be enough to start all year on the edge. Is that a bad assessment that they made, or were they always thinking about adding some way halfway through?
I honestly think they didn't want to add someone halfway through. They were hoping that Drake Jackson would be that guy, and he's a late second round pick. And he's had to in college. He changed from linebacker to defensive end. So all that change and him having to adjust his body. Now it's like you're in the NFL. You just need your NFL body, and that's it. But that's all you got to worry about. But we have him for 2 more years under contract. Rookie deal. We have Robert Beal Jr. for 3 more years, and he actually looked pretty good in that Super Bowl. I don't know if anyone saw number 51 getting in the backfield, but he was actually beating up on their left tackle. And he's not a big guy. I was looking at that like, wow, who's this guy? It's Robert Beal Jr., folks. I'm expecting big things from him next season.
I expect big things also. I just don't think he's going to be starting.
Honestly think we bring back Cleveland Farrell.
I hope we do.
because he sets the edge. He plays the run. He's above average pass rusher. He's a very good starter / rotational piece. I honestly could see us bringing him back. And possibly Randy Gregory, depending on what he's wanting salary wise. I would like to actually bring him back. Brian,
Okay.
what are your thoughts?
Let's
Brian?
On who we bring back or who are we letting go?
Well, right now we're just talking defensive line.
Yeah, I think we were just talking defensive line. I threw in a linebacker thing in there, but we didn't go into that. We stayed on the D line.
First off, I got to apologize about the internet, folks, and I've dropped in and out. I will be back if it happens. As far as our defensive line, you guys mentioned maybe Eric Armstead going to defensive end. That would be really neat idea, but I don't see him being our future or being on the team.
What if it was rotational though? What if him and Beal would share that position? Do you think that they could pull it off? Or is Beal going to get trucked on runs?
I honestly would have to say, this many games that he's been out for the last couple of seasons and the moments that he's been out and what our run defense looks like when he's gone, I think it's almost time that we need to really start looking into the future to replace him as a serious contender, someone who can really. So if we have to draft again, then okay, that's fine. But they do need to focus a little bit on the O-line as well, so they can't get too crazy. But you know how the Niners like their D-line, and they like to go after a player almost. It's been really funny. All the way back to like Jim Harbaugh, it was like somebody every year was a defensive lineman coming out. And then, so I think Kinlaw, I don't see him coming back. I don't see us re-signing Chase Young. He's going to be too expensive. Randy Gregory, I think we could work with him. Drake Jackson, I don't know what happened to him. If he got hurt, if they don't believe in him. I think he's coming back.
He'll be back.
But is he going to be any good? Is he going to be decent? Is he going to be, somebody we can put in there that's going to actually be rotational worthy? And I think that's what the problem is again, he came into our team underweight or out of football weight room shape. I don't know how, you're a professional athlete and you get drafted to a professional team and you have to bulk up. So I guess you're that much better than everybody else in the world, or maybe you just got lucky. And if he got lucky, then he really needs to put forth, the effort, which I'm not saying he hasn't. That's not what I'm saying. But we keep rotating him out of the lineup. He had his one game this year against Pittsburgh. And unless he got injured, I don't remember hearing anything about him the rest of the year.
That was an anomaly, right? He comes in, he gets 3 sacks. Everyone's nuts, excited about what's to come, and he disappears forever.
Yeah,
it's
just
so weird.
He ended the year with knee surgery, so he actually was hurt.
So he was hurt.
So we were all skeptical, thinking, all right, is Kyle just throwing this guy on IR to save him for later in case something happens, or is they just saying, all right, you're done for the year, and we got these guys. But no, he was actually hurt.
Hey, so guys, there's yet another interior defensive lineman out there from the Dolphins, Christian Wilkins. Do you guys know him?
I've heard his name.
I got a little thing here they have. I'm reading this off something. It's not me. The Clemson product has been a game wrecker and the best defensive player on the field for the Dolphins since Miami selected him in the first round of the 2019 draft. Wilkins, 28 years old, finished with 69 combined tackles, 9 sacks in 2023. He rightly wants to be compensated among the top defensive tackles in the game, like Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, Javon Hargrave. Salary cap issues with the Dolphins look like they're not going to be able to keep the guy. Potential landing spots, Tennessee and Washington.
So he wants 20 to 30 million is pretty much what he's saying.
I think now everybody wants a lot. No matter what position it is, they just want the most. And they want injury guarantees as well. So,
And I think that's wrong. I really, truly think that's wrong. I don't see it. So, I don't know what the difference is in being an athlete and going on disability or being a police officer and going on disability. But if you're a carpenter and you fall through the ceiling, it's not your fault, right? It's no one's fault. You go, you look at the owner and you say, okay. And then he says, okay, go on workers' comp, right? And eventually you're no longer working for that company, but you might be permanently disabled, right? So then the government, jumps in, right? And you're on permanent disability or something, hopefully, right? Somehow something in your favor. But for athletes, if they get paralyzed or if they get hurt, is that not an option for them, or is that just not enough for them?
Well,
Because
go ahead.
because what I'm getting at is we know police officers, firefighters, doctors, they have a very noble job, and we very, very important job, and they don't get paid nearly as much money as some of these professional athletes. And for these ones to be a 1 year wonder, or a player to come in and play 1 or 2 snaps, like look at Aaron Rodgers. I don't think what he did for the Jets this year is worth what he signed his name on the contract for. I mean, unless he sold that many jerseys, and I don't think that's going to be even a number that could,
when you sometimes look at people's contracts after they've signed a big contract and they get injured or something, and then you look at how much they got paid for each game because they barely played, it's amazing. I think, for example, Odell Beckham this year, ODB, right? Isn't that who it is? Odell Beckham? Yep. I think that's it. Anyway, I saw it on somebody's community post. They showed you how much he made per catch this year, and it was like in the millions or something, because he made like 8 catches for that entire contract. It was insane. So I'm a big fan. I think you guys already know, I've probably said this before, of like pay for play. Like I feel like you need to get paid after you work, like most people do, because your quality of work is what gets you, a high salary and tips. So that's just what I feel like, but you'll never get that in football. And I understand that. And I feel like you can solve this. I don't know. Maybe I don't really know what's going on, but if you don't want to pay a guy when he's injured and not playing, then you have to pay for his medical until he dies. Plain and simple. Every football player should be under an umbrella program that's the NFL insurance, and that whatever they need, whenever they need it, forever, they're taken care of, because these owners make billions and billions of dollars or whatever. Even if it's millions, they can take care of, the people that made them all that money.
Okay, well, we have to address the elephant in the room for a moment. We're going to start out by saying hello to everybody in the chat. I'm going to just run through your name real quick. I appreciate everyone for being here. We won't highlight everybody, but we appreciate it. We have Bebop, we have John J, we have John LaJoy, we have 49ers Throwback, Daniel Berry Sports, David Corona, we have Niner Tiger, Carcast, Crazy Juice, Damian Lee. We have a lot of great people in here. Now, the highlight I'd like to bring up, King Mufasa. King Mufasa, great guy. He's in a lot of chats. If you guys know, you know. If you know about Dufu, you know Dufu Sports is a really cool app. No sponsor here, but if you don't have a way to watch a game, check out Dufu Sports. It's a free app. So King Mufasa and me, that's how I recognize his name. That's where I recognize him, is there. But he says Jimmy G knows about injury money. He sure does. Now, if you guys don't know, I believe Jimmy G is speculated, or if it isn't been inked or finalized yet, it pretty much is. It's being stated everywhere. Jimmy G will not be coming back as a Las Vegas Raider.
He's been a bad monkey.
And this is the funny part. We got our great guy Steve-O here. Weird show. So I guess he's referring about this show. And I apologize. We did start a little bit late. Weird show started 10 minutes late. Jimmy G is number 10, who went to the Raiders and broke rules as Raiders do. Also, 10 is the number of a few Super Bowl leads. That is true. That is very true. Well, okay, everybody, I appreciate you all for coming. We're going to give it just a minute, and then we're going to get back into the topics. But I have this neat little it's really kind of a tribute to everyone, and appreciate you all. So give me your a couple minutes of your time, if you will, and we are going to be right back. We're going to check this out. This is a thank you, basically, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you all very, very much. I've had a whole lot of fun doing the YouTube, and every one of you that I've been able to collab with, I tried to find a picture of. I wasn't successful in every video, but I tried to get as many people that I could, and I appreciate every one of you. Look forward to doing hopefully a show again in the future, but I also look forward to doing shows with the people I haven't already. And if you'd like to join the show tonight, the link is in the description. Click on the link. You can come on in. We have a couple questions that we would like to ask you, the faithful. But in the meantime, the three of us will be up here and we will be talking. But the link is in the description. Please click on. If we recognize you and we'll bring you on in. If we don't recognize you and you show us your face, we'll be bringing you on to this place. Thank you. Well, folks, we have Kenny 49er Culp in the chat, and we have Steve-O. Thank you so much. Going into archives to find videos of me. Yeah, we did. We went deep. We went pretty deep. So, appreciate it. So one of the questions that I have for everybody in the chat or, here on the panel, and if we do get any callers, most valuable player.
Ooh.
And this is a fun question. I think we'll rotate all of our questions in and out. But for the most part, I'd like to start out by saying my thoughts of the most valuable player. They like to say it's a quarterback role or award, and sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I would like to say that this year's team, the most valuable player for the 49ers, I think does come down to Brock Purdy. I think this year he did what we needed our quarterback to do in the past that wasn't done. And I think there was some players that were injured and we did lose some games, and maybe he didn't play the best in some of those games, but I also think he played well enough to keep us in the game. So my award for MVP for the 49ers would be to Mr. Brock Purdy. Let's go to David and we'll go to Kenny after that. David, do you have an MVP that you'd like to shout out?
Well, typically it's an offensive player, but me, I'm a defensive guy. Deommodore Lenoir, he stepped up, and there were times during the season where he's playing better than Charvarius Ward. So I have to, and for him, stepping up even more and switching from corner to nickel, which is two totally different jobs. And, every game for the last half of the season, he's my MVP.
All right. Mr. Kenny, what's your MVP? Do you have an MVP for the 49ers?
I never thought about it since we didn't win. But I guess if I'm picking one, it's going to have to be a group of guys. And minus one. So I'm going to say, actually, believe it or not, I'm going to say the O-line minus Trent. Because, guys, we don't have anybody special out there. And we held it together. And I know Brock, like you said, was MVP. And you're probably right. His scrambling and his decision-making and his impulse scrambling like a rabbit that he does is very helpful. But we only gave up 2 to 3 sacks a game all year. We ran the ball, and look at our running back. Sure, it's CMC, but he had a pretty great year, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
We could have fallen apart. We could have given up 5, 6, 7 sacks a game. We could have got the run. No, we wouldn't have been able to run if it was that bad. So I'd like to give it to those 4 guys who are really more than 4 guys who are just kind of been, coupling those guys together that I know aren't going to get any votes for MVP. So I just want to say those 4 guys that held it together the best they could, besides Trent, to keep us where I don't even know. I never thought we'd get the 1 seed, and I sure as hell didn't think we'd win the Super Bowl, but we played much better than I thought we would this year. And so I do want to give it up to those guys, since probably no one else will. But that's really the only reason why.
During the Super Bowl, we saw, Kansas City blitzing, which they did all year. And our offensive lineman wasn't picking it up. Now, I'm not necessarily putting it on them.
Yeah.
Because it's up to our coaching staff to have them ready for that. But I would like to see some improvement at center. Jake Brendel, he's average. He's not bad. He's not great.
And he's been with Brent. He's been working with Brock since Brock got here. So that's not
Yes.
something that doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt.
It doesn't, but I would like to get a guy there that's capable of taking a block one-on-one with someone.
Yeah.
That, that frees up like the whole right side to take care of the good pass rusher over there. While him and to the left, they're all one-on-one taking care of business.
Yeah.
We'll see what the offseason brings.
We definitely have to beef up
I'm
the
su-
right side of our offensive line for sure.
We do. I'm surprised none of us picked CMC. You notice that though, right?
Well, because he was the obvious answer, and this show,
Mhm.
this show likes to think outside the box.
Yep. Hey, call in, folks. It's a call-in show.
Yeah, come
call
on.
on
Tell us
in.
what you think.
Don't be
Tell us what you
afraid.
think about the defensive line. Come in and tell us what you think about the D line.
Tell us who's your MVP for the season.
That too.
And could be Juwan Jennings, and he missed some games, and we were kind of hurting without him.
Thought about saying
We
Joe.
were.
Yeah.
And
he easily could have been Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, easily. We had to pull out the win, but it's like I said, I'm not necessarily putting that loss on the players at all. All kinds of people like trash Moody. Oh, the missed kick, it wasn't missed, it was blocked.
Well, yeah.
He wasn't the guy on the offensive line getting pushed back.
He kicked it a little low. Kicked it a little low, but it wasn't. Yeah, there was a problem with the way we defended that play was not great. That's why people were getting pushed back and they got up there so high anyway.
Yeah, but there's and it's a game of inches. So when it comes down to it, and there was a strange anomaly that I've actually done research to confirm before I say anything. Kansas City's offensive line was flagged the most this season for holding.
Yeah. Go ahead, David.
And they didn't get one flag during the Super Bowl?
You know what? Do you even know that it's not only this Super Bowl, but it's all three? The last three Super Bowls, the Chiefs haven't had a single holding call on them yet. They're always the most penalized team, or one of the top teams that are penalized for offensive, penalties.
There was a few plays during that game. I'm going like, dude, Fred Warner's coming free, and the guy just tackles him. Like,
yeah,
isn't that a flag? Like, am I missing something here? Did they change the rules specifically for this game? I mean,
that depends who are the refs. Sometimes the three blind mice are out there. So
that's true.
That's why we need AI cameras floating all around in drones, just picking that up on their own, making their own calls.
But there is a saying, though, you can throw a flag on every play if you want, and it's kind of true. Well,
you know what? Then don't call us for one. Then don't call us for a hold. Just let it go.
Exactly.
Just don't call any holds. And if you look at that hold, Trent is even like, what the hell? How did you even call me on that? They were sideways. He was past him. He was holding, but it's what they do every time. And I think actually, I don't know if you saw Raj from Ours 49ers, I think it is.
RSF Niners.
Ours SF Niners, yeah. He actually did a short, and it showed you what happened on that play exactly. So I would check it out.
Yep. Yeah, Roger's a good guy. I'm subscribed to him. I watch him.
Yeah.
But, at this point, I'm not sure if we've had, I kind of doubt we've had any callers at this point because Bryant is watching. It's kind of strange.
Oh, what happens is, I think I remember now the short is Kyle just goes off on the ref and he's like, look, that's what they do every time to protect Pat. They hold us, they jerk us, and then they let us go. And if you're going to do that, call it all the time, not just on us. And the ref was just like completely ignored Kyle, completely ignored him.
Steve-O.
You know what it is? It's the Stockton. It's that Stockton surge. Because you're going to have storms in Stockton for the next 3-4 days. So get ready for more of that.
I'm not a big fan of it. I really not. I go around and I unplug everything in my house, and but I think it's the wind on the outside, and sometimes my power pole. But regardless, that's another tinfoil hat theory or whatnot. We'll figure that out. But I appreciate you both. If it goes out again, I will come back. I will be back. I'm not the Terminator, but I'll be back. Hey,
Yeah.
so if anybody wants to join, I have the ability to bring you on. Again, if you don't, that's okay. David, if it gets too crazy, maybe we'll have to fire up on your StreamYard. We can private chat on that. But folks, I am just really, really proud of our guys in our season overall. We've built a team since 2017. They've been to 2 Super Bowls. They've been to several NFC Championship games since then. We are not scrubs. The Niners are not jokes. It takes a lot of work to get to the Super Bowl. And for any team other than the Kansas City Chiefs out there that have anything to say, go ahead and say it. But you didn't make it to the Super Bowl. So make sure whenever you say, you finish your talk with, you didn't make it to see my lights just flickered again. You make sure that you finish your talk, your statement with your team didn't make it to the Super Bowl. So cheers to the 49ers. Cheers to the Chiefs. And everybody, I know we kind of did it already, but it's really sad what happened with Kansas City. We don't have to say, have a moment of silence, but I think it is something important to state and say. And it's just really, it's not fun. It's we're not a political show, but it just is really weird that, we have other countries that have guns, but America seems to have gun problems. Other countries have these problems too, but we seem to have this more, and it's becoming more and more regular. And the next thing that, people want to say is okay, we'll change the gun laws. I don't think that's necessarily true. Well, then talk about mental health. Well, okay, talk about mental health. What do you want to talk about? Because these other countries aren't seeming to have the same problems that we're having. And some of these other countries are, I don't know, maybe they're not as sophisticated as us, or maybe, not as free as us, because we are the home of the free, the land of the brave, but it just doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's just the mentality of growing up, and the whole idea is it's easier to shoot somebody than to deal with your problems. So maybe that's where we need to, start, is people need to deal with their problems instead of trying to find the easy way out. Maybe it's not mental health. Maybe it's being an asshole. So my thoughts is, again, I've said this a long time. This is a moody season, but we don't have to be moody as people. We need to be better to people. And what happened in Kansas City, that's not right. It's not right at all. You guys know I'm a big Batman fan, and they even had it at a Batman movie, the opening of a movie, and a guy goes in and shoots up a movie theater. Why?
I was actually out that night. I was watching the trilogy at the theater, but it happened in Colorado, and I was not. But it was the same night, and we were out at the theater.
It's just really weird, and there's not really a answer to it. People will say, well, I don't know why the mailman went and shot up, the McDonald's or whatever. Well, after you see somebody bullied for so long, and then you can understand maybe they are going through a lot of pain, but it still doesn't make it right. And it doesn't make it right for anybody to do that. But I don't know. You can talk around it. You can try to justify it, but at the end, it's not right. It's not right to take anyone's life. But guys, let's talk a little bit more about free agency. David, what do you got? If you are going to be the 49ers general manager this season and you want to draft somebody, are you drafting an offensive lineman first?
We have a young quarterback going into his 3rd year, and we have a 30-plus-year-old center going into the last year of his contract. So personally, yeah, that's one big glaring thing I would definitely take care of. I would get one of the better centers in the draft. With the 1st or 2nd pick or overall pick, he'd have to be really good to land in those spots, but I would be down to take it. I would also be down to possibly draft a right guard if we can't find a good free agent. Spencer Burford, he's not bad. He's serviceable. I think with the right coaching, he could be pretty good. I'm just wondering if we have the right guy at offensive line coach. They did bring in a new assistant, but I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have.
So, same question, Kenny. If you are the 49ers, who are you drafting?
I am drafting
Not, not a player necessarily, but a position. I'm sorry.
Well, let's see here. We were looking at the free agents, which I guess I lost that now, but maybe I can find it. No, it's gone. Anyway, I like the Chris Jones addition, or I want to get one of those really nasty interior defensive linemen that are available right now. There's the Wilkins, there's the Batamuke guy from the Ravens, right? And then there's Chris Jones. I would love one of those guys. And look, the fans want to see us go in all in anyway, right? So if we're going to do it, and we're going to get, we need a defensive lineman. Let's get this guy, just like we went and got Hargrave last time. And that's where we spend our money, right there. Okay, so we get one of those studs, put them right in the middle, and then they're backed up by some pretty decent backup defensive tackle. DTs. We got the DEs pretty set. We got a lot of depth there too. We can bring back Farrell. We can find somebody out there who's not a top free agent. And because Kyle's not going to start any rookies, so we have to tackle the main problems in free agency probably. But if I'm going to draft somebody, I think I really like doing a cornerback first. I want to get one of these interior defensive linemen that are like top 3, top 5 free agents available. And then that's what we do. We get a cornerback. I feel like second, third round, we can get plenty of offensive linemen. We may not get an A+ offensive lineman, but if we can get a bunch of C+, B- offensive linemen, have them rotate, see who shines, who develops, and who becomes better, we can work with that, and it wouldn't cost us a lot. We have the picks.
I like it.
I know people want to go O-line first, but we never will. And I think the last time we did, who did we get? McGlinchey?
Yes.
Oh, did
Yeah. See, that's the problem. I mean, do you really want to go first round on an O-lineman and he doesn't become Penei Sewell or Tristan Wirfs? If he doesn't become one of those guys, you look like an ass. So I want a stud that's like a guarantee, someone who's like a Dion out there. I want a cornerback in the first round for once.
I'm honestly, that's really not a bad idea. It's really not. If we get a corner in the first round, Travarius Ward's actually entering the last year of his contract. Demo Lenore, I think.
I would love if he was our third
I think
corner.
this is actually the last year of his contract this next season too, his rookie deal.
Wouldn't you love it if Demo was CB3? That would be incredible.
The nickel?
That would
if
be
he was
great.
just permanently the nickel, I wouldn't mind that at all. He's really good at it.
Our first pick of CB, put him up in there, and then you got Huff and you got Brown out there now. You got Ward. You got this ball hawk cornerback that we get in the first round. We sign one of those insane interior defensive linemen, and from there, I think that there's not much else that we really got to do. Am I crazy, or what do you think?
Here's an idea. What if we throw everything that we need to and go after Brian Burns? Let's go after Brian Burns, and then let's go after a corner like you're talking about, and we should be set, basically, right? Because, Brian Burns can play, he plays linebacker and he plays edge. So that could be our bookend. And then if we, I don't know, I think we still need another linebacker. But if one of the guys from last year can emerge, then okay, let's bring them on in. And I think really our biggest question is whoever we bring in for defensive coordinator, are they going to be changing the defense at all?
Right now, I think the only people that we're interested in are running run a 3-4. So I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah. What do you think, David? You think our next defensive coordinator is going to change anything?
I'm honestly, that a lot of people are like, "Oh, Brendan Staley. He's a good defensive coordinator. He was for the Rams." And they also had like Jalen Ramsey and a whole bunch of stars on that defense. We do have stars on our defense, don't get me wrong. But I don't know if he would be a good fit for us. And then I honestly like the internal candidates, that like what was it, that Bullock guy? Everyone's saying that the defensive backs coach. I'm not sure about him. We do have a linebacker coach, and I think his name Johnny Holland, our linebacker coach. That's what Robert Saleh used to be. It's what D'Amico Ryans used to be. Let's do it. Let's keep it an internal candidate. I would honestly like to get away from the wide nine. And it's been working for so long, but teams have figured out what to do against it, and that's run the ball up those big holes in the middle. So it's time to condense those defensive linemen just a little bit, and that might even help the pocket collapse faster. So, and keep the running back, the quarterback from running up the middle. He'd have to swing out to the outside and potentially get hit by a linebacker or Deommodore Lenoir.
Yeah.
I agree with what Damian says here. He's totally right. I don't think that Brian Burns would appreciate the way we treated Wilkes either, unless we just don't know the details. And Wilkes was let go because it was a bad fit. And maybe he also agrees that he didn't click here, and maybe he wanted to also leave. Do we know for sure that he didn't also just mutually think that it was a good idea that he left? Does anybody know anything about that? Or are we just going to go with the scapegoat, exposed, casual keyword that we use all year, that we pick a word, and then 1 week for a month, we use the same word in everybody's posts and thumbnails about, it's either exposed or a lead or whatever the word may be. It's just like we ride these words out. So
I have it's just my opinion, but I believe Wilkes would have been gone even if we would have won the Super Bowl. I don't think they would have kept him along. I don't think they would have going to keep him because of some of the decisions throughout the year. It doesn't seem like they were just getting together. And for people to say, "Oh, he would have stayed," yeah, but they would have had to want him to stay. And then maybe he didn't want to stay. We don't know this yet. Guys, for our first time, let's go ahead and bring in our first caller guest. Great guy. We've had him on before. Let's bring him in. We all probably have some good questions for him and get his insight. Bring in John Jay, the ultimate 49er report. The 49ers ultimate report. I always get that backwards. I'm so sorry. But thank you very much, John, for coming.
Hey, John Jay.
Hey guys, thanks for having me
Friday.
on. Yep. Showing my face today.
We're on with the great John Jay.
Thank you very much.
It looks like you shaved a little bit, cleaned up a little bit. Nice.
Yes, I had to shave today. I had to, look a little bit nice today.
Awesome. But so Kenny, actually, was it Kenny or Bryant who asked this? So over the course of the season, who is your MVP for the team?
Oh man, that's a good question. Let's see. I do want to credit Christian McCaffrey. When you have 2,000 all-purpose yards, 20 plus touchdowns, that's hard to do. Like even in today's NFL, because we don't see running backs do that a lot anymore. Shout out to the offensive line and George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk for opening up those lanes for them. Those guys really helped them out. So it was a big team effort. I'm gonna go with Christian McCaffrey because he really helped out the offense, and when he was out there, like defenses were scared to play us, and so Brock did a really good job. I do want to give him the credit he deserves, but Christian McCaffrey should be given a lot of respect because he had, I think, like several games with like 3+ touchdowns, and so he did a really good job.
Yeah, I think most people know this too, but in 2019, guess who the two people running for MVP were? Also Lamar and CMC. And I think CMC had like 22 touchdowns in 12 games or something like that. And I guess because he was kind of hurt, he didn't get the MVP, but he had a great year. And Lamar beat him that year too.
So, those are great, great thoughts. We really do like that. Now, my next question for everybody here, and then we'll give you a couple more minutes, John. We're just going to keep it moving and keep it friendly because we want to bring as many people in and give as many people the FaceTime and individual questions so we can all hear. And then if you feel like it and you're still around, you're still up, stick around. We'll put you backstage, or you can come back into the backstage, or we'll do a panel at the end of the show. But we're just going to give everybody as much time right now as possible.
Well, can I ask
So-
John Jay one last question? What does he think about the D line and what we should do?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think, John Jay? What should we do with the D line?
Man, that's a really, really good question. Right now, at this moment, I don't know because we have to see who the new defensive coordinator is. Steve Wilkes, I talked about it so many times this year that the scheme really did not fit the way the 49ers wanted. And he really helped out the secondary. So for us to focus on the D line, we need to bring in a D line coach. I know Chris Casari does a really good job, but I think we do need to go towards a coach who basically the 4-man front and the linebackers. I think that's the best way to me to explain what we need to do. So for us, we got to go back to what we used to do, like those pass rushers, those run stoppers. And that's the best way for me to explain this question because like we just lost our coordinator. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think Kyle wants to go back to the formula we had with Saleh and DeMeco.
Well, we had way more. I feel like the team had way more chemistry with Saleh and DeMeco than they did with Wilkes. That's what I noticed, that they weren't so chummy and high-fiving and hugging each other and screaming on the field like we did with Saleh and with DeMeco. I feel like that's what we missed with Wilkes, and having to force a man to do something he doesn't want to do is never a good thing. And I just don't think it ever really worked out, whether he came down there or not. I don't think it really made a difference. We started winning because we came back from the bye and we were rested and we were healthy. And that's why we started winning games. That's really what we need to be, is we need to be healthy and we need to have all our starters in all the right positions, or the Niners start to unravel like a sweater. Thanks for.
No, thank you very much. My one question for you, John, we give you the MVP question. David, and me both. That was my question, but David asked you, and then my next one would be, and then Kenny asked you as well. This would be my player with the brightest future that we have currently on the roster, that we plan on having on the roster next season.
Oh man. One thing about the 49ers, we have a lot of young talent that we're going to develop. And watching Jair Brown play this year, I can see why we traded up for him, because he was a really good player. He was a rookie. I wouldn't say he was the best player on the defense, but there's a reason why we, got him. And when he was out there, he made some good plays. Of course, the interception in the Super Bowl. I've always been a fan of him. Even in his days when he was in Penn State, I think he'll be better, in my opinion, than Ufunga. So that's my player with a bright future with the Niners.
Awesome. I love it. Well, if you don't mind, we'd love you to stick around, come back in. If you want to stay on the panel in the background, that's fine. Or if you want to, save some battery power and then come back in, the link we'll drop it in the chat maybe about 15 minutes before the show ends, and we'll have a nice big, panel. What does Red Jet Shell say? What is it? Hollywood Squares. What we call it, the Santa Clara Squares, right? But we're not square. We're hit, right? So thank you so much, John. We'll bring you back on if you'd like, and we're going to bring on our next guest. Thank you so much. And everybody go check out John Jay, the 49ers Ultimate Report. Thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to bring in our next guest, Mr. David Corona. Mr. David Corona, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir. What's up, Kenny?
Hey, David C. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Just chilling.
Yeah.
It sucks the 49ers didn't win it for us, but we'll be back next year. You know what I mean?
We'll always be back, like Terminator.
Exactly.
We'll be
So
back.
what's up to what are you guys up to tonight?
well, we are having individuals come on so we can give them a little bit more FaceTime, a little bit more understanding of their thoughts of the situation. And then, if you'd like to come back on later in the evening, where we throw out the link again in the chat, we'll have more of a panel. But for right now, we have a couple of questions left we'd like to ask you. We're going to start with the
What's up, McNiner?
We're going to start with the two banners, and then we're going to go ahead and give David a chance, and we'll have Kenny give you a question as well. So first,
all right, for sure, man. Thank you for having me.
Most definitely. First question, your opinion, 49ers most valuable player for this season.
For this season, I think I have to give it to Christian McCaffrey, man. He was a beast. We had him all season. He did over 20,000 yards rushing. 2,000. And then how much rushing yards did he had? 11.
I think he had over 1,400 rushing yards, and then combined with the pass catching receiving yards, he had over 2,000 all purpose. And
I go with Christian
too.
I'll go with Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
Yeah. CFC's good, super good player.
I'm glad we picked him up and not the lamb chops.
Oh, most definitely. Okay, so the next question that we have for the banner questions, we'll go ahead and ask you, and then David will ask you and Kenny. And you nailed it, man. Christian McCaffrey, that was a weapon of mass destruction race right there. If the Rams would have got it, oh boy, they could be set for several years just with their quarterback, and wow. So, okay, here's our next question for you. Player with the brightest future for the 49ers, and a player we believe will be on the team for next season and hopefully future seasons because his future is bright with us.
Man, that's a good question. I go with the ladybug guy, Brian Ayuk. He did a hell of a job. He got 1,300 receiving yards, and he made some credible catches when we needed it. So I say Brian Ayuk, man.
I can't argue, and I'm not going to. If he's still on the team, I think he's got a bright future with us. Mr. David McNiner, what question would you have for Mr. Corona?
So, all right. So, we're going to have some coaching changeover, buddy. So, as our defensive coordinator hunt goes on, would you rather hire one of these guys that you hear about in the news? Someone actually said Vrabel. Oh, Kenny, it was you.
He's on Pittsburgh, though.
Well, Mike Vrabel, I don't know if he.
I just threw it out there. That's not my choice.
Well, he wouldn't be bad. He really wouldn't be bad. He's a good head coach.
We have a lot of options.
And he won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, so maybe he could, be that guy whispering in Kyle's ear. But would you rather go external candidate or hire from within for defensive coordinator? Keep in mind, we hired from within when Robert Saleh took the job and DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah, man. I agree with what you said right now. A veteran coordinator we could go over that hump, and we could beat Patrick Mahomes on whoever we have to play the next Super Bowl. I think it's going to be KC again. We might see him again. We will see him again. But I say a veteran coordinator will get along with our head coach Kyle. I don't want them to be bumping heads or whatever. Let them let them do the job, and we could get over that hump so we could win that Super Bowl. So yeah, I say a veteran guy.
I like it. Kenny, do you have a question for Mr. Corona?
I have some weird questions for David Corona because he's a weird dude and I'm going to try and throw him off. All right. Ready, David?
Yes, sir, man. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too, man. All right, so here's what happens. Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick are traveling separately on separate airplanes. They meet at the same airport in the lobby, and they have a drink. And they're like, you know what? We really want to win this thing. Let's do it. They've been drinking all night, talking shit, and they're like, let's go to the Niners together. Would you like that? Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, defensive coordinator.
That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. If they could pull it off and get that Super Bowl for us, why not?
That would be.
You know what I mean?
I got.
Why not? Why not?
Two more quick questions for you, okay?
Yes, sir, man.
Okay. Is cereal soup?
Cereal
Oh, I love
soup.
it. I love it.
Is cereal soup?
What? Do I eat it?
No. Do you
No, I'm
consider
just saying,
cereal?
Is
Do you
cereal?
consider cereal?
Like, do you
Oh,
consider
hell yeah.
soup?
Oh, hell yeah.
It's cold soup, right?
Yeah, for sure. Hell yeah.
100%
I agree.
right. You're 100% right. Okay, last question.
Yes, sir.
How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
1 million. 1 million. 1 million.
Yeah, that sounds about right. What do you guys think? Does that sound right? 1
It could
million.
happen.
Wait, chickens?
Yeah, not
Oh.
roosters.
You know
just
how many? You know how many? The pokes they're gonna do?
Yeah, they peck and they.
Yeah, I'm with David Corona, like 1 million. I mean, an elephant's gonna be able to run right over and stomp a lot of them. So it's
Pretty-
probably gonna take about 1
But
million.
I think the elephant would smash at least a half a dozen.
Good answers, David Corona, man. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Hey, David Corona, if you'd like to come back on in a little bit, we'll open up the show for the panel. If we can get a couple people to come on, we'll do like that, Hollywood Squares and Santa Clara Squares, something like that. If not, it's okay. But we do appreciate your insight. Appreciate you coming on. We're just gonna keep it moving, keep it fun.
All right.
And,
All right, man. I'll be back.
cool. We will see you soon then. All
Yeah,
right,
see you
take
guys
care.
soon, man. Hey, much
All
love
right.
to you guys.
You
All
as
right.
well.
All right, girl. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right, folks. So you heard it. We're going to keep it moving. We dropped the link. If you'd like to come on in, hit the link, come on in. If not, we're going to keep on going because we have some great conversations going, like his cereal milk or, can you cook salad? I mean, I love it. I had a friend and she was talking and her mom was giving her such a hard time because, you don't cook salad. You don't bake salad. You fix salad. So, or you toss salad, right? Whatever you like to say. But hey, it's Friday night. So, okay, guys. So, if you were stranded on a desert island, would you rather be stranded there with? Let's think of this one. This would be good. Taylor Swift or Cher.
Or
Share.
share?
Or Cher.
Share now.
I think yeah, Cher now and Taylor Swift now. I think this is you can have a win-win situation either way you go.
Well, you want me to go first, David?
Yeah.
All
Yes,
right.
please.
Tell you what, honestly, I really just don't like Taylor Swift. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of blondes. Number one, number two, I don't really like pop music very much. So I feel like Cher could sing some incredible songs that I already know I love by her and other people, and she's kind of more voluptuous than Taylor. So even with the age, I'm going to tell you guys right now, stuff is all still there. It all works pretty good. So don't be discouraged by the older ladies, fellas. They're lonely.
Hey, that's why it's a great conversation, right? It's just one of those off the wall. Why would you ever be stranded on a desert island? But David, we'll get back to you if you need a second, or you can go ahead and start talking. I'm going to bring in our next great guest, Mr. Carcast.
Nice.
Yo,
Hey,
what
What
up?
up, buddy?
What up, guys? Thanks for
But
having me
yeah,
on.
so the stuck
Well,
on an island, I'll go with Cher because when it comes to Taylor Swift, does she even know how to do anything to survive?
Nothing.
I seriously doubt it. Cher probably Cher, the more experienced, right?
Absolutely, David. Experience is everything. We've learned. Okay, didn't we learn? Experience matters.
Uh-oh. He's got that East Coast bias Wi-Fi, folks. You got to
That
forgive
has to-
CarCast.
Well, if he comes back, we'll be more than glad to have him back. We're just going to keep it fun, moving. Thank you very much, Jason, Captain Niner Matthew coming in, Darwin's Raven. You guys have an opportunity to come in. I know, Darwin, looks like you're working out. Click the link, come on in through. And later at the end of the show, we will have multiple people on. Right now, we're just doing one at a time, having fun with it. So, here we go. Coming on in. CarCast, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, my bad. My Wi-Fi cut out, but I'm doing good, guys. Thank you for having me on.
No
appreciate
worries.
it.
First, we got a couple questions. I'm going to give you the same that I give everybody else, and then David and Mr. King right here will ask you as well their own questions. So, be prepared. It could be anything. Anything. All right. First question. Cool. Most valuable 49er.
Man. On offense or defense?
Whatever you want.
Oh, okay. I'll probably go with defense first. Man, there's a couple of guys that you guys already talked about, but I don't want to go with the same thing, again. But
no, it's your opinion. Your opinion. So whoever you think is the 49ers' most valuable player throughout the whole season.
Yeah, no wrong answer.
I feel like the rookie Jair Brown. I think he stepped in after when Hufanga got hurt with the ACL. I think he stepped in and just made a name for himself, man. I truly think he does. He's made plays. I mean, he's gotten two interceptions on Patrick Mahomes in his career. That's really hard to do against a quarterback like him. He's held his own, man. He's contained the deep shots down the field. I mean, he's really stayed on top of things. Down the field. I mean, he's got great speed. He's got great range. I mean, he has really good ball skills at the point of attack. I think he's really good, man. He's got the intangibles. I'm not just saying that because I live in Jersey. He's a hometown kid. He's from over here in Trenton, but I really like the dude, man. He's a great player all around, and I think, man, long term when Hufanga comes back from that injury, man, that's gonna be one of the top safety tandems in the NFL. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, it's that dude's scary, man, and it's only his rookie year. It's only his first year. He's only gonna get better. He's only gonna work harder. You can tell he's a dedicated guy, dedicated to his craft. I mean, he balled out, man. Interception in the Super Bowl. I mean, he's holding his own. I mean, I think he's. I know it's kind of a dark horse player, because people want to. I mean, we got all these stars on defense: Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and I get it. Nick Bosa had even though he missed a lot of beginning of the season, training camp, mini camp, OTAs, he still had, I think, 10.5 sacks on the season. I mean, we have a lot of stars on this defense, but he's a dark horse, man, and people, they kind of overlook him, but he's young. He's only going to get better. Jair Brown's my pick for MVP on defense. But on offense, man, I think it's Brock Purdy, man. I think it is. Yes, people wanted to give it to Christian McCaffrey. 2,000 all-purpose yards, 20 plus touchdowns on the ground. I believe 12 something touchdowns through the air. I mean, it's crazy, dude's a baller. But
don't sleep on the most important stat of the year: 80 yards receiving and 80 yards, rushing in the Super Bowl. I mean, oh my God, has anyone ever done that before? I mean, like,
right. He was, he led the team in yards in the Super Bowl. I mean, but the premium position in the NFL is quarterback, and Brock Purdy, I mean, people forget he's coming off a UCL injury, and there were questions if his arm's going to get weaker or stronger, because that's an injury that could really affect your arm, affect your throwing. And Brock Purdy's still young, man. It's his second year. He made it to the Super Bowl, and there's a lot of talking heads, in the media. Oh, he's a product of his talent, this and that. I mean, he surpassed Jeff Garcia with, I believe, 4,208 something passing yards, but 20 touchdowns. I mean, he stayed under 10 interceptions through the year. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he's used his legs when needed. He's got the wheels. I mean, he's really smart. He's He drives it down the field. I mean, Brandon Ayuk's a 3,000-yard receiver. George Kittle is almost a 1,000-yard receiver this year. I mean, George Kittle was a touchdown monster this year. I mean, he's had a lot of guys step up due to him like playing at the level he's been playing at, and even in the Super Bowl, I get it, we lost, and people want to blame Brock. Oh, he's a quarterback, he's you know he's the most important position on the field. I mean, he leads the team. I get it, but Brock Purdy, man, when he had to make the throws, I mean, there was I believe, 3rd and 8 pass to Conley on I believe, the second possession for the Niners, or it was at the beginning of the game. I mean, it was a great play, man. Under pressure, he stepped up in the pocket and he threw a floater on the sideline to Conley. I mean, dude can make plays, man. He doesn't got the biggest arm, and I get it. People, yes, you want that first round quarterback. You want that 6'4", 200+ pound quarterback. Brock Purdy, he's not the biggest quarterback, but he's got the intellect, man. He's smart. I mean, and dude, he's physical too. You've seen him make plays where he's running down the field and putting his head down and running through guys. He's not the biggest guy, but he's gonna put it all out on the line. And he's, whether you hate it or not, man, he's gonna be the long term, and he's only gonna get better. I mean, all these guys are only gonna get better, man. I mean, you saw him after the Super Bowl in the press conference. He's like, I'm gonna stick to my craft. I'm gonna keep working on the mistakes, on the flaws. I mean, it hurts, but I mean, it's I don't get the hate, man. This dude's proven it. I mean, it's Brock Purdy for me, and yeah, there's multiple answers, but my pick's Brock Purdy. I mean, no doubt about
Okay.
it.
Okay, so I think that pretty much, well, I'm going to ask you, but I think it's going to be the same answer. And then I'm going to give it to David and Kenny. But before I ask you this question, I kind of want to highlight what you're saying, or at least give an example. You have a quarterback who has a very, very smart processing ability, be able to go through the reads, maybe not the biggest arm. And we're talking about Brock Purdy compared to Patrick Mahomes, who's not the most mobile quarterback, but who is elusive enough. And that's sometimes what you need, is just somebody who you're afraid of, right? And then because
Right.
the defense is afraid, they give up bigger yards. And, this guy, takes what the defense gives him. So my example of hopefully what a future Brock Purdy will look like is a younger Drew Brees. And then what I would like to say, maybe what Patrick Mahomes, and hopefully he will be better, but I would like to say a comparable player would be Brett Favre. He's a gunslinger, got a big arm, but he did have the ability to rush and make, things happen with his legs, but he's basically primarily going to pick you apart. And because of his ability as a veteran and to know what the defense is going to give him, and that ability he has in his arm, that's what I think Patrick Mahomes now has. So
Right.
again, you see kind of what happened with Drew Brees playing Brett Favre. He did that cardinal sin, but Drew Brees over his career was just as good as Brett Favre. And he might not have been the most athletic, but he had a very deadly arm where he was very, very pinpoint accurate. And I see that happening with Purdy, just moving on in the future. But here's my next question for you. Player with the brightest future. Hopefully that would still be on the 49ers, because that's what we're trying to aim for.
Right.
So the player with the brightest future for the 49ers. Upcoming future.
Man, these are a lot of great questions. Brightest future, man.
I know why you're struggling, Carcass, because you
I'm gonna go.
said Jair Brown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna go with the defense. No, Jair Brown's a great call, but I'm gonna go with Deommodore Lenoir, man. Again with the deep. I mean, we all know he's a dog. I mean, yes, we got him not 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago. Yep. I mean, he's made plays. I mean, I heard McDaniel was saying, I mean, he's had to play different positions. I mean, his primary position wasn't in the nickel, and he moved in there. I mean, he held his own. I mean, he's not the biggest. He doesn't stand out. I mean, as a as the biggest, most physical, but he plays bigger than his size, man. I mean, he's physical out there. I mean, I think this kid is something special, and he's gonna be the complementary to Mooney Ward on the other side. I mean, I, I, I truly think he will. I mean, those two, just like the safeties I talk about. I mean, we honestly might have the best. I mean, secondary come next year, man. I'm really like the best backfield. I really think so. And yeah, I mean, yes, the defensive. We lost Steve Wilkes. We don't know what happened. We don't know who the next defensive coordinator will be. We don't know what mind he's gonna bring to this team. How he's gonna really rejuvenate this defense. But when we're just talking about individual guys, I think Diameter Lenore is one of the brightest futures on the team for the upcoming year. So that's my thoughts on that question.
All right, we're gonna we love it. Lenore, hey, shout out Lenore. Hopefully he can continue his
Yep.
trajectory, and this guy is the limit for that guy.
Exactly.
Mr. McNiner, what do you got for Mr. Carcast?
Oh, the whole defensive coordinator search, buddy. I
Right.
mean, should we hire this Brendan Staley, or a lot of people are throwing out Bill Belichick. I was just kidding, folks. I'm not serious about it.
Right.
But Rex Ryan's even being thrown in the mix. Mike Vrabel, and should we hire one of these exterior candidates or hire from within?
Yeah, that's a good question. Kyle, I think we should hire within a guy who's been on the team, knows how this team just works. I mean, he's been with the organization. I mean, I kind of want to see Chris Kocurek step up and become the D coordinator. And he's came out and said, he's came out and said this before. I don't want to be the head coach. I want to stick to my craft. Focus on the defensive line, bring in guys and let them show up, get them paid. I mean, he's purely a defensive line guru. That guy's gonna bring in guys and have them step up. But I think with his mind, I mean, this defense was always, always work from front to back. You get pressure on the front end, guys on the back end are gonna make plays. So that was really when Saleh was here in 2019, D'Amico, and then Steve Wilkes was the secondary guru. But I want to see Chris Kocurek. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I would love to see it. But like McNiner threw out some names. I think Bill Belichick is kind of far fetched. I mean, it would be crazy if the Niners got him, but with Shanahan's ego, um, I mean, hey, the Bill Belichick is not scared, man. That dude's gonna I don't know if he's maybe put something into Kyle, and because Bill Belichick, he's not soft spoken. He's definitely, but I don't know if Kyle's ego is kind of holding back because Kyle right now has full power over this team. No one's on a higher pedestal than Kyle, but Mike Vrabel, I mean, I think he's a really, really good head coach, man. I mean, I know the Titans let him go. He's a really good defensive coordinator. I mean, he's built a great defense in Tennessee. I would like to see him come, or even Pete Carroll, but I don't know if Pete Carroll. I believe he has a position on that team. I don't know exactly what it's called, but Mike Vrabel, Brandon Staley, no, I don't want to see him, man. Dude chokes like straight up. Just I don't want to see Brandon Staley. I really don't like. But there's a couple guys, but my top pick really, I want Mike Vrabel, man. I really do, or even Chris Kocurek, but I don't know if he's gonna step up and take that bigger role. But that's just me, just my thoughts on the whole question mark at defensive coordinator.
As far as for me, really quickly to jump in before anyone, and I apologize, guys, but I'm gonna take my shot. Chris Kocurek, if you keep telling me you don't want to be the defensive coordinator, and you've told me this multiple times, I don't want you to be it either. At a certain point, you have to want to have the job. And if you're happy being the D line, you're happy being the D line coach. And that's kind of where it's at. I feel like, if you want to be the kicker, then you're going to be the field goal kicker, right? But if you just want to be the field goal kicker, you're just the field goal kicker. But if you want to be the kickoff guy too, then you pick that up. Sometimes it's the punter who does that, So I think it's really somebody who wants to seize the moment. And I'm not saying but we know he's good for the D line. But is that because we keep drafting D linemen? I don't know. But it's just I don't know. Kenny, what's your thought? What's your question for Mr. Carcast?
I have a football question, and then we'll ask a silly question. Okay, Carcast. Nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you as well, man.
Good to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
My question to you is, Josh Allen is a possibility. Do we move on from Brock immediately, or do we stay with Brock? What do you think? If we have a chance to get Josh Allen, the quarterback.
Right. No. See, I'm fine with Brock. I mean, I don't even know if the Bills are. I think I've heard it before, but I don't know if the Bills are gonna let go of Josh Allen. I mean, it's it's a hypothetical. I mean, but I'm fine with Brock, man. I really am. I mean, sure, yes, he's got the intangibles. He's got the skills. He's got one hell of an arm. He can launch it. Yes, he's your, you know, yes, Josh Allen. He's trying to think of a word. He's one of those like quarterbacks that really pop out to your mind when you're saying Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. I think it's Mahomes, Burrow. If you stay healthy, or like top 5. But Brock Purdy, like yes, but yes, he doesn't have he's not the tallest, he's not the biggest, he hasn't got the biggest arm, but I would just stick with Brock and see where it takes us, man. I mean, he was almost only making 900,000 this year. We're gonna pay the guy, bring him back on a cheap. I mean, don't like that. That's the great thing about not because I know the Eagles or like we got a lot of overpaid quarterbacks this year. You know, uh, they paid Jalen Hurts a lot. They paid Daniel Jones a lot. They paid a couple of guys, like they overpaid some guys. But when you have a cheap quarterback, you can keep a team together for sure, man. And this organization has done a great job at doing that, keeping guys together. I know we do have some questions with our older guys, and we have the whole Brandon Ayuk thing we have to figure out. But um, I think Brock Purdy, we should just stick with him and just see where the journey takes us, man. I mean, we already know the limit, or we already know we know the sky's the limit. We made it to the Super Bowl. We made it to the biggest game of the year.
2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. He's brought us to the NFC. I mean, he may have made it to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row had he not got hurt.
Right. That's for sure. That's a great point. Yeah,
Nice.
against the Eagles, but still, we made it to the NFC Championship game his rookie year. Like, you can't take any. You got to.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost
East Coast bias Wi-Fi, buddy. Poor Carcast.
We lost Carcast.
All right, we'll ask Carcast the silly question at the end of the show.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think we got Amshal waiting in the background. 49er Media guys, we're gonna bring him on, and we'll do the same thing. And then if you guys are in the chat and you guys are still here and you all want to come through, then we'll throw that. Oh, real quick, let me bring him in real quick. Sorry, Amshal, give me a second.
My bad.
Carcast, we'll finish up real quick with you. We're gonna bring in Media right after you, so try to keep it quick. We appreciate it. Kitty, go ahead and ask that question.
Okay, last question, Carcast. This is a silly question. Zombie apocalypse. What's your weapon of choice?
Ooh, good one. Apricot spoon. Apricot spoon.
And the cop.
Here, I'll just say one more thing before you pick.
Okay.
You'll have unlimited ammo of whatever it is, because it's a hypothetical and a fantasy situation. But so don't worry about ammo or what something weighs or how big it is or whatever it is. Any weapon, and it can be mobile, whatever you want. It could be air. It could be sea, whatever you want.
Man, God.
I threw the C in there to make it extra hard.
Right. Animal. I'm trying to think. I'll probably go like It's a freaking bear.
Nice. That's
Shout out
vicious.
my shout out
That's
my guy Nick
vicious.
Bosa. Shout out my guy Nick Bosa. You know what I'm
I
saying?
like it.
But
Awesome.
hey, that's a question I actually got to think about. But I appreciate you guys for having me on, man. Brian, David, McNiner, and Kenny. Nice time actually. I think being on the panel with you for the first time, but
Yeah,
it's
first
an
time.
honor always coming on your guys' show. Thank
Yeah,
you once again.
appreciate it. Come
Yep.
back through if you like at the end. We'll drop the link. We'll try to have a little bit bigger a panel, and maybe you'll hear one of my dad jokes. But until then,
Yep.
we'll see you. We'll see you real soon. We'll
All right, guys.
have you
Go
come
Niners.
back.
Yep.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Hi.
All right, we're gonna bring in Mr. 49 Media. Thank you so much for waiting. I appreciate
No
you.
problem.
So
Hey,
we have a couple questions for you this evening, and we have
Sounds
David.
good.
You know David, and I don't think you've met Mr. Kenny here. So, Kenny, this
Nope.
Hey,
is
well, how are you?
Nice to meet you. I'm doing
I
well,
saw
man. How are you
Ted, I
doing?
saw you on TED today, so
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a good show. All
Thank
right,
you.
so we're going to go ahead and ask you a couple questions, and I don't want to be repetitive too much. We've asked the other guys the same question, so I'm going to give you one of the first questions. No one else has got an opportunity to talk about. So here we go. And my question is, player on the 49ers who overexceeded expectations this year?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if he overexpected, but he had such a dog in him this year, and I'm going with Jawan Jennings, man.
yeah.
Cause even though I knew he had that dog in him, he went to the next level, man, and just was outstanding to see it. I do think we're gonna be able to bring him back, unless somehow some team just absolutely gives him a crazy contract that we can't match, because he is a restricted free agent, so we should be able to match another contract. But again, I think if it's a crazy amount, unfortunately, I don't think he'd come back to the Niners then. But yeah, man, Jennings just clutch. I think in the Super Bowl, if we win that game, he's probably the MVP.
All right. Well, I have been asking everybody two questions, and I don't know if this is going to be kind of what you just basically said, because I don't mind really. I think we need to pay a couple of guys, but this is my question. Now I'll give it to David and Kitty. My next question for you is: player 49ers need to sign. It doesn't have to be a player on the team. It could be a player that's in the league, but somebody that's out there that the 49ers absolutely need to sign this offseason. And I'm going to tell you, it's Brian Burns.
Okay, well, I'm going to go. I would agree with that, but I'm going to go with a different guy. And I was just kind of actually looking at the free agent class today with Ted, actually, earlier. So, one guy that I mentioned, I think a guy like Kenny Moore would be an interesting pickup there, because I do think they're going to move on of Isaiah Oliver, because he was a Steve Wilkes guy. That the dead cap is not really much at all, because it was a pretty small contract. This is his second year in the deal too. So I think they're going to move off of him. Then I think Lenore was fine on the outside. I think Ambry Thomas can kick down to depth, along with Darrell Luter Jr. and Samuel Womack III. So I think Kenny Moore, man, would be a really good pickup if the Niners can bring him in it for that slot.
Very nice.
Awesome. That is awesome. All right, Mr. McNiner, what do you have for Mr. Media here? I know we've talked a lot, so you probably asked a couple good questions, but I know you got a good one for him.
Well, I've been asking every guest this. The defensive coordinator situation we currently have. Would you hire one of these big names we keep hearing the talking heads, throw out there? Or would you rather go with someone internal?
That's a tough one, because I don't really like Bullock's the defensive backs coach, just because I know it's internally, so probably there's a better connection between Kyle, but just like kind of after what happened with Wilkes, I'm a little bit skeptical about making the guy a secondary coach the defensive coordinator. And I know Carcass had mentioned this too, Chris Kasurik. I mean, I think he'd be great, but I just think he doesn't want to have that pressure of, being the DC. So, Johnny Holland, I think, would be really good because, I mean, where have the Niners been successful with linebacker coaches? Even Robert Saleh was like the linebackers guy. So I think if they can go with him, I'm 50-50 on if it's an external guy who to go with, honestly, because I think that no matter what, like they're probably gonna lose them the next year, especially if it's Vrabel. Like I think you're gonna lose him 100% next year. And I don't even know if Belichick would wanna come to this team because he still wants to, be a head coach and get that new record that he needs to break. So I don't know if there's anyone really out there, externally. I was hearing some other guy, but I forget what his name was, but there's a guy on the Jets, that possibly, maybe they look into him. But yeah, again, I don't know. If there's too many external guys out there that I'd, go after.
It doesn't seem okay. Well, before Kenny asks you a question, I'm sorry to cut in again, Kenny. I got Ancho on, and this one just came to me, and I kind of addressed it earlier. In your opinion, if we would have won the Super Bowl, would Wilkes still be our defensive coordinator next year, or do you think he would have been parting ways?
I think you would have parted ways no matter what, because even though that defense was dominating in
Yeah.
the game for the most part until overtime, like that's not just, you don't base it off of one game, right? You have to base it off of the whole entire season. And I know people would have been, what? You fired Steve Wilkes and you guys won the Super Bowl. But like at the end of the day, you could tell that there just wasn't a connection from the start where, Kyle Shanahan's like the all-out blitz. Yep. And then just, what even made it worse was having to bring him onto the field from the booth. I just think overall the connection wasn't there. And like they weren't gonna, fire him mid-season because I think they maybe weren't feeling
It
so
was
confident about, maybe a guy internally quite yet. And they probably wouldn't have been able to get anyone externally in the middle of the season. So I think they just had to go with it. And I wouldn't be surprised if, the players were one of the big reasons why, this move ended up
yeah.
happening. Because, Nick Bosa's also kind of talked about that frustration, I think even after the Super Bowl, but even earlier in the season.
No, I think you're right. I think the players had a lot to do with it. I think it would have been a bad look on the 49ers organization if they would have tried to fire him in the middle of the season after the Niners going 5-0 to begin the season and having such a great run. But then there was points in that time, and we've talked about it, where it didn't look like the Niners defense was doing exactly what we wanted to do. And we are not in the locker room, so we can't say it was the players not buying in or the players not playing up to par. But there was the biggest problem, I think, in the beginning of the season was the players having space between the wide receivers, too much of a gap, 8 yards a catch, 8 to 9 yards a catch. And then, the part with the 49ers tackling, we weren't tackling. We were like trying to hit them like we were torpedoes out there or something, a bunch of shoulder tackles, and they weren't wrapping up. But we could go on, and but I have Kenny, and I know Kenny has a great question for you as well. So let me pass it to Kenny. And thank you so much, Kenny. Once again, sorry for stepping in.
Hey, Anshel, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, here's my question. Rank the NFC West teams from bottom to top. Go. Next season.
Okay.
How do they end in the standings next year or this year?
Okay. Ooh, I'm still gonna go with the Cardinals. I do think they're gonna be better because they do have Kyler Murray now, and I think that with the coach from the Eagles that they got, I do think they're gonna be a better team. But I still have them at the bottom. Now I still do think the Niners could be at the top. But that second and third spot I think is gonna be real close because the Rams, I mean, even though they had a lot of young guys, just look how dominant like they still kind of looked at times, and just the flashes that they had. So I think honestly, I think I'd put them second just because they're not having a bunch of coaching turnover as well. They still have the same coaches pretty much, especially on the defensive side. And I mean, I think they lost another coach this offseason, but at the end of the day, they still have McVay. And just like the 49ers have been losing coaches, they have too, and they haven't really missed a beat, I'd say. So I think that they're going to be second. And I do think the Seahawks regress a little bit. I don't trust Geno Smith, man. And they have a new coach, which maybe could improve Geno a little bit more, but still Geno's been up and down his whole career, and having a new coach can take some time to adjust. We're not really sure what the scheme is going to be with the Seahawks now, so yeah.
Great, man. Hey, before I was making boop, boop, boop noises because I wanted to give you points like PTI when you said that Wilks he wasn't grooving with the D, he wasn't grooving with the players. We talked about earlier, Sala and D'Amico, they'd be out there on the field bumping chests with people, high-fiving in each other's faces, and it's very there's a brotherhood out there that forms, and Wilks wasn't getting that up in the booth. Whether he was on the field or not, I don't know if it would have made a difference, but so great answer there. Okay, next question is a silly question. If you could be a fictional character, anyone, what would you be? Or who would you be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to disappoint you, but I don't really know, because honestly, I don't like, the only thing I watch is sports pretty much. So
All right.
yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yep. Thanks
All
for
right,
having
so
me.
Anshul, we're going to
Yes.
talk for a couple more minutes. Then we're going to throw the link in the chat. If you're still around, come on in. We're going to have a little bit more of a panel for maybe the last couple minutes of the show,
Okay.
and then we'll get out of here. Thank you very much for coming on. We're just doing this so we can give everybody a little bit more FaceTime, so we can hear everybody a little bit clearer. And when we do drop those epic dad jokes, everybody can hear it because the acoustics are just right. So thank you very much for coming, and hope to see you come back in a little bit. So
For
again,
sure.
thank
Thanks
you.
for having me on.
Perfect, guys. So
Nice.
I'm really looking at it, and I got to tell you, Taylor Swift is a little bit younger than Cher, but Cher is older, and she definitely has some traits, I guess. Sometimes you learn tricks, and you also have to think about, how desperate she is, and not in a bad way. Not in a bad way, but like, is she going to be there to help you? Like, is she hungry too? And how hungry is she? I think Pterodome said it. He's like, when you dated somebody, is the lady you open up the door for willing to reach over and open up the door for you when you're going around? So I get that vibe from Cher. I could even say I believe, if you guys get me, or maybe taxi, kind of vibes, right? So, but Taylor Swift, if she was on a desert island with me, I would definitely believe that she would be singing our song. Hopefully no teardrops on the guitar or anything like that. She wouldn't be painting it red or anything like that. But again, we're not going to go into all that. But I love these questions. They're fun. And I like bringing them up because our good friend Corey Davis, I always had this, not a feud with him, but I always like to go back and forth with him. I'd like to ask him who his favorite singer was or compare him. And I say, okay, if you guys had an opportunity to be on a desert island or go to a such and such concert or something like that between Jennifer Lopez or Mariah Carey, Corey Davis, he would always take Jennifer Lopez. So Kitty, since I'm more of a Mariah Carey guy, and David, I don't think I've ever really got your opinion on this. I want to hear both of you guys. Let's start with Kenny. Kenny, is it Mariah for you or is it J-Lo?
Oh man, Jenny from the Block.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Oh my gosh. You just said the song that my little girl Lily has memorized and she's been running around. So we've taken the word Jenny from the Block and when it comes on, we say Lily from the Block. It just makes it fit.
Nice.
So you're a J-Lo guy.
No, I'm saying I'm not doing Jenny from the Block. No.
Oh.
I'm gonna go with I'm a little older, so I'm going to go Mariah Carey. She was very cute, and she has a great voice. And J Lo is a great dancer, but I'm going to go with Mariah Carey.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, welcome on board. I think you're the first person in my boat because I think everybody else is always throwing out. They said J Lo. So, ding ding, 1 point for your Mariah Carey tonight, Mr. McNider. J Lo or Mariah? Your choice.
Well,
And you can say neither if you really if you got if you got a different one, then throw it out there. And it's not your this is your crush. This is just just fun.
well, I hate to be like everyone else, but I kind of like J Lo.
I do it. That's fun. And do you remember the movie she played with? It was George Clooney, and I'm trying to think of the name of the movie, but her dad. Yes, thank you. I won't forget that movie. She was a Miami Dolphin, Dan Marino fan, and
That's
I won't forget that movie. Good movie. So, all right, folks, if you like, we can go ahead and drop the link. If you'd like to come on, we're going to go ahead and have a panel for the last couple minutes of the show and try to keep it, as fun as possible. We're going to keep it as polite and where we can all hear each other. And I do have another good question. But Kenny, what's that?
Steve-O had a question about the polls I have here. They're not stripper poles, I wish. I made this wall, I made myself, this wall here. So I just wanted to get some poles to make sure it doesn't move just in case there's an earthquake, which I don't expect there to be that kind of an earthquake. But just in case, I got little things, critters around the house, and just so the wall doesn't topple down on them. Well, I put those to reinforce it. That's all. But that would be something, though.
Well, I work in an apartment complex, right? And I can tell you, I found more than 4 of those in apartments after people's left.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's neat because they're adjustable and
they're like tension poles.
Yeah, and you would think they'd be a little bit stronger but they're like ideally you think they'd be bolted in or something, but
not the home ones.
Yeah, no, not the home ones.
That's why we have all those great videos of girls doing flips and breaking stuff. God bless them. God bless them for trying.
Oh boy! All right, so our first, we got the link in the chat. We're bringing in people, and as we bring in people, you guys come on in. We got room, and appreciate y'all. The link is in the chat if you'd like to come in. Anshul, welcome back. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, so this will be my first question as we get more people to come in. So we ended with who exceeded expectations. So, and then we said 49ers player needed to sign. So this will be the last question. Player 49ers need to go after. So it doesn't mean that we sign them. It means we need to make an attempt. And hopefully we get them, right? But if the Niners don't go after this player, what's wrong with them? Right? And I'm gonna stay firm. I'm staying firm. Brian Burns. Bring in Brian Burns. I know it's not gonna happen, but it's my dream. Let me have it. Don't take it from me.
That's a tough one because I'm actually gonna have to look at who I think realistically or kind of who's available, because I did say Kenny Moore, on that other question, but I don't really want to go in the same way. So let's see.
How much do you think Brian Burns would cost us, Brian?
A lot.
22.8 million
for one season. Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, I think
the franchise tag is for him would be 22.8, so it's going to be more than that.
Yeah, because we would be wanting to try to sign him for a long-term deal. So if we could sign him for 22 or 24, right? Because the Niners have, I want to say about 34. I want to say that you have about 34 in cap, and then we could restructure Debo potentially. We could restructure Kittle. maybe we could restructure Armstead or let Armstead go.
Mhm.
So maybe there's a way we can bring in more money, but that's what I'm thinking right now.
Daniil
is
Daniil
That's a lot
Hunter,
of money too.
Yeah.
right? Daniil Hunter, edge of the Vikings, finished with 16.5 sacks and 23 tackles for a loss. You interested in him at all? He's an edge.
Yeah,
That's
I would.
pretty
I would
nasty.
look
Real
at it.
quick though, what I was gonna say about the cap, Bryant, too, is another way they can actually create cap is extending Charvarius Ward would be a way that they can create some more cap. Of course, extending Brandon Ayuk. So there's a couple extensions they can also do that will, um, create that cap space. Now, I think it's a little tricky with some of those guys you were naming, like Kittle and stuff, because you also don't want to, keep on restructuring, because then you're going to start paying them, money when they aren't even on the team, for a while. But those are kind of, I guess, the main guys you maybe have to, end up going after. But yeah, I think a guy that I actually like, I was just kind of looking, is maybe a guy like DJ Reader, because they definitely will need a defensive tackle for depth. I think this one might be a little bit of a pipe dream, but I think DJ Reader, man, would help this run defense a lot. Get this run defense back to where it was, because like last year, right, they had Ibukam and then Amenuhu, and those two guys were major losses on why the run game, was so bad on defense. They went from number 2 all the way down to 28, and I don't think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan want to deal with having to see these guys just get ran over again. And I mean, I expect guys like Gibbs to, be better in his second year. You have Kenneth Walker in your division to forget what his name, but the running back that was really good for the Rams as well, the rookie late round pick. So they need to get this run defense, going.
All right. David, what's your thoughts? And I'm waiting for my response for my next guest, and then we will bring him on. Players 49ers need to go after.
Well,
What you-
it's all about what can you afford,
Yeah.
And I haven't actually went and looked at the best available free agents list. It has a lot of defensive linemen, corners, and safeties on it. And the one thing that is not really, well, it depends on where you go. Let's go ahead and put this here. Maybe these guys will list it by position. But all teams, yep, they're just showing the quarterbacks. Blaine Gabbert's still in the league?
Yeah, he's a Super Bowl quarterback now.
I wonder if we're going to bring back Sam Darnold at all.
I don't see him leaving. I don't see any benefit of him going anywhere else for him. And I don't see any benefit for the Niners to really cut him either. But I don't see anybody that they would get right away that would be better. So I think it really just comes up to him being cheap. But if he thinks he can go somewhere else and start, more power to him.
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring in Spongy.
Ooh. I mean, T. Higgins is on the list. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of defensive linemen, safeties, corners.
Oh, he got the Sam Darnold card out.
The hologram.
Ooh.
He's like an X-Men.
Yeah, it looks like an X-Men card too.
Oh, this one's for you.
Ooh,
I
Jake
love it.
Moody.
That one's nice.
look at
I like
that.
Damn,
one.
he got the good looking cards.
Yeah, he did.
Whoa.
Is that one? Hey, wait, Spongy, is that one this one here? Sorry.
Wait, let me see.
Gotta get it
Yeah,
right.
that one, the one that you have, is the better version.
Okay. I got two of them. I got two of them, but sorry. I got two cameras on right now. Go ahead, David. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good. I'm just looking at the Arizona Cardinals are losing their top wide receiver.
Wow.
I didn't know he was a free agent.
Is it
Yeah.
Brown?
Marquis.
Marquise Brown.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown.
Yeah. Okay.
He's not very good.
Calvin Ridley too.
Yup.
Yeah, the Jags. Yep.
I was just thinking there's another guy I was actually thinking from the Jags earlier today too.
Mhm.
Especially because his special teams has been so just garbage.
I don't know.
But I'll let David give his guy first before
You
I.
know what? This guy, Kevin Dotson, guard, Los Angeles Rams.
Ram.
Let's steal him from them.
Kevin
Lamb chops.
Dotson.
Yeah, buddy. Dang, the New England Patriots are losing both their tackles, offensive tackles. I would take either one.
Trent Brown?
the right
Is
side.
it Trent Brown?
Yeah, former 49er. We traded for a stepped on, opened, half eaten bag of chips.
Yep.
Ooh, Miami Dolphins are losing a guard, Robert Hunt. 6'6", 335. That's thicker than a Snicker. That guy could do some mauling.
He can catch a pass too. I've seen him catch one, and he scored
you?
a touchdown actually, but it didn't count. They caught it.
Man, we still need to give Trent Williams his touchdown. He still hasn't gotten it.
Ooh, Josh
Well,
Jacobs, Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this guy, Jamal Agnew? Because, dude, this special teams has just been so bad, man. Like, I don't know what it is.
I
These
honestly-
guys just feel so scared of catching the ball. They're just not going down.
Well, I honestly think that we need a better special teams coach. You know,
I
I
agree.
think that's something we're probably going to be hopefully going towards this offseason. And, you know, here's a hot take. Let's call it Pete Carroll and be like, yeah, I know you're like in the organization up there, but do you feel like being our special teams coach? Come on back, because you did coach for us like way back in the day. He was an assistant in the 90s.
I didn't even know that because I saw like photos of him in Niner stuff, and all of that I thought was just photoshopped.
No, he used to be a defensive coach here in Stockton at the University of Pacific. He used to be the Tigers defensive coordinator, but he was assistant
Gotcha.
defensive coordinator. And he's bounced around a lot. And it was either early 90s or late 80s. I think he was a 49er. And then he moved on. And then he did end up going to, I want to say he went to the Jets as well. I know he did go to the Patriots. And after he lost his job with the Patriots, I think that's when Bill Belichick took over with New England. So, I don't know. It's just, I don't see him sticking around Seattle if they're not going to let him coach up there. To be an advisor, I don't know. The guy said he wanted to coach, so
Yeah. Okay, then I mean there may be a chance. Ooh, you know a guy that I would go on maybe for the offensive line depth guy. Steal this guy from the Chiefs. He was pretty solid. The Nick Allegretti guy, man.
Yeah.
What was that,
He came in-
Spongy?
He came in for Joe Tooney. He was
Yep.
a good backup. I mean, if you guys ever need depth on that O line,
We
mean-
sure do.
I think he's
Thank you.
mainly a guard.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Thank
because
you
I
very
do
much.
think we're gonna have to find a replacement for like John Feliciano, because I don't think he's gonna be back.
I don't like that guy.
Especially after what's been going on Twitter, which probably shouldn't have even been handled on Twitter, to be honest. With Spencer
don't like that
Burford,
guy.
I don't know if he comes back.
He also
yet.
went after Jalen Carter's dead teammate. So yeah, if you want to talk about that, then yeah, you can talk
Okay.
about that.
Well, see, that's I think the sad thing about the world. You know, like how technology is a beautiful thing, but it also kills and destroys a lot of things. Like mystery and the elusiveness and the wild and the unknown. Right? We're sitting behind computers in different parts of the world, the United States primarily, and we're talking and we're having a really great conversation, I think, with everybody here. But that makes it so easy for us to be able to do that with other people. And when people get emotional and they're feeling their mood, they're moody, whatever you want to say, going to the Super Bowl and losing isn't the best feeling in the world. I can imagine it's probably one of the worst feelings, losing anything of that type of caliber. But also winning it is great too, right? But winning and losing is not everything, and you do have an opportunity to wake up the next day. Let me bring in Teradome on ranching. Thank you very much, Teradome, for coming in. We're just chopping it up for a couple more minutes before the end of our Friday night, but thank you so much for coming. But the whole idea, again, with the playoffs, with everything happening, guys, you just don't know. You don't know.
Hey, Teradome, what's going on, man?
What's up, Teradome?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Pretty good.
Hey, Teradome, you think the Chiefs can three-peat?
It's a good chance. They just they have a hold on things, kind of like the old song, "You Really Got a Hold on Me." And I mean that in a couple of different ways.
It's almost like a reverse curse. It's like a good curse.
Yeah, they tend to hold a lot too. In my reflection, I feel like what I feel like is the other end of the spectrum of the Cincinnati Bengals back in the 80s. We started with them back when I was 11 years old and won our first Super Bowl. And then, on that third one, we had Joe Montana drive it all the way down to Taylor at the end. That was against Cincinnati as well. And, things happen. I've covered Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter, 11th verse, the race not always to the swift, the battle not always to the strong, time and chance happen to everyone, but it just seems like it just keeps on coming up for us the last 2012, 2019, now 2024.
Our cup overfloweth with what I can't think of the word. It was right on the edge of my tongue. Wait, you know what? I don't know. We're so close.
Yeah.
We've been humble. We've been patient.
Everything.
I feel like we haven't complained. I really don't think so. Other people think we have. I don't see that. I thought we've been very humble, very quiet.
Yeah. In opposed, you let the Dallas Cowboys get to a NFC championship or in a Super Bowl, they'll show you what non-humble is.
Yeah.
But it just, I really felt like it was going to happen this year. I really, really, really did. And I think we had the team to do it. I think we had the staff to do it and the game plan to do it. We just, there's chance, a ball going off somebody's foot, a torn Achilles, right as you walking on the field, a bad practice field, hose missed. It's
fire alarms, all of that.
Fire alarm. You just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really have the answers to it. A redemption story. A year ago, it was January 29th. My man Brock, unassuming, gets his UCL blown, and this kid gets back before time. And low key, when they were talking about his durability and he might get hurt and he's not this and not that, Brock Purdy's never missed a start, ladies and gentlemen.
It's incredible.
He's never missed a professional start when he was supposed to start. There was the time that we had the 18th game against the Rams, and nobody was playing good then. So they said rest our starters that day. But Brock Purdy ain't missed no start, man. He been hard. He been getting down there, getting it, improving weekly. Really good distribution with Ayuk, and I wouldn't have better weapons than Ayuk, and CMC and Debo Samuels and George Kittle and
So,
Third and
so,
Juwan and Juice.
so let me ask.
We could have improved on that offensive line real quick. We could have improved on that offensive line. I really wanted, I was documented in that third round to get DeJuan Jones to make us a menacing offensive line. I got pushed back on, hey, oh, he's too big to play right tackle in our system. I said, dude, what do you know?
He's a beast.
You gotta be the offensive line is an extension of your defense. You go back and look at every great defense, that offensive line and running game was there. The 76 Steelers, Doomsday defense had Tony Dorsett. The 85 Bears had Walter Payton. The 2000 Ravens had Jamal Lewis. The 2003 Tampa Bay Bucks had Allstott and Warwick Dunn. And the 2013 Seahawks had a guy named Beast Mode. You got to have an offensive line and running game to extend on that defense, because they work in tandem, although not on the field at the same time. And they probably got real tough knocking heads in the summer and had a few fights and everything. So that toughness is there. And it works in concert. But, you know, we went with a tight end that can't catch. I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead and say what you were going to say, man.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me bring in the other two people that was patiently waiting. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm working two items tonight, and I didn't notice it. Carcast and John Jay, thank you guys for coming. We'll go just a couple more minutes because I did say we were going to cut off here, but I didn't see you guys waiting. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cut you off either, Pterodome, and I don't want to spin this in a bad direction, but I think you know, like, again, we've been labeled, or we call ourselves the faithful. And, you know, some people, they really like a certain player, and they really, really like a certain player. And some people, they just like the team, you know, and it really, I think that's where I think I'm really transitioning to, because it's not like I like said individual so much. Honestly, you guys know Steve Young's my hero, but he's not playing for the 49ers anymore. Eddie D's not the owner anymore. We don't have Bill Walsh, our coach, anymore. So those 49ers that are, you know, the greats and the legends aren't on the team anymore. So why do you like the team? Well, a lot of us like the team because our family was, you know, rooting for them, or we feel attached to them because the location that we're at, or we grew up rooting for them at a certain point. Like, you know, I know you're on East Coast guy, so, you know, you're over there and you have your reasons for wanting to root for the Niners. And you know, Carcast is an East Coast guy, New Jersey. So we're different ages too. So what I'm getting at is how much do we like these players and want to see these players win the Super Bowl? And how much do we actually have faith that these players are actually going to get it done, compared to how much we just really want a Super Bowl done? Because for the last couple of years, the 2012, you know, I wanted Kaepernick to win the Super Bowl because I wanted a Super Bowl. It's been so long. Then we go with Jimmy G in 2019. And I'm like, Jimmy G, just get us the Super Bowl, right? But we had a lot of people saying he was horrible, he was trash, right? Now we get to here, we have Brock Purdy, and people are saying he's not elite and all this good stuff, but, you know, they think we're good enough to get it done. Well, we've got him there, but we really like all these players. We like CMC, we like Brandon Ayuk, we like Debo, we like Fred Warner, we like Armstead, we like Bosa. We like all these players, right? A lot. And we want this core to stick together. So, again, how much is it that we want this core to stick together and win a Super Bowl, or how much is it that we have faith in this team? Because I think it's a little bit conflicting there, because people want the Niners to win a Super Bowl, and at the end of the day, you really shouldn't care who's the quarterback or what player gets it done. You just want a Lombardi. And I think it kind of goes back to, do we want just one Super Bowl, kind of like the Rams, so we have a Super Bowl? Or do we want to just keep getting to the top and not winning? And not to make this an ugly show, and no one has to answer this, but if Kyle loses a Super Bowl next year, do we keep him as our coach? Or do we just, oh, wow, I'm so grateful we made it to another Super Bowl. Look how talented he is and everything. I mean, at a certain point, if it can't all be on him, right? Not, you know, like if somebody fumbles or throws an interception or misses a block or whatnot. That's not on Kyle, but you are the head coach that got us to that point. So at a certain point, I mean, I don't want to see him suit up and put a helmet on and run out there and try for the field goal. But I mean, he's almost got to be that guy, right? So let's go around, everybody. Let's get your guys' thoughts. What do we have to do to get this over the top? And let's start with David Corona down there at the bottom. What do you expect the Niners to do to get to the Super Bowl and win it? And that will be our final question for everybody tonight. David Corona, please start out and let me know what you think the Niners can do.
They just need to call the right calls in the Super Bowl, and like that 4th and 3. I think they should went for it, but whatever Kyle want to do, and I think better call makers and get over that hump and win, and then coordinator. A veteran guy who knows. Oh, go ahead.
So basically, you would be okay with seeing Kyle get some help, maybe even taking on the offensive coordinator, maybe taking a little bit of stress off of Kyle. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I like that. Let's go ahead and move to CarCast so everybody can get a turn at this.
Okay.
CarCast,
all right, for sure, man. Thank you.
No, thank you, man. I really appreciate you. CarCast, what do you think that we need to do? David kind of said maybe call better plays, maybe execute better. But what do you think we need to do to win this Super Bowl? Because obviously, like, we keep getting there.
Right. I think Kyle Shanahan needs to. I just think Kyle Shanahan needs to stop thinking he's like the end all be all. Yes, you're a great play designer. Yes, you're a great play caller. You're really good at the X's and O's. But Kyle Shanahan, I mean, you got one of the most talented rosters in the league. I mean, arguably the best talented roster in the NFL. I mean, you got all these playmakers around the field. I mean, use them. Kyle, your job's really freaking simple, man. Even if you check it down to Christian McCaffrey every play, do that. I mean, if it's gonna get you positive yards, do that. Like, you want to go like pass heavy third quarter, only give Christian McCaffrey the ball 3 times in the third quarter after you gave him 14 touches, I believe, in the first. Like I get it, man. You think you're the genius. You think you can get it done. You think you're all this, but like, dude, you gotta kind of take a step back and look at the team you have, man. You brought in a great team. You built a great team along with John Lynch, all these guys. I mean, use the players, man. You pay these guys. I mean, you pay them for like the pressure doesn't all have to be on Brock. Like, really, like, I don't know. I feel like it's his. He has an ego issue.
And I don't want to attack everything you're saying, and that's not what I want you to feel like at all. But look at this: like, we were there, 3rd and 4, right? And we were there. If Brock had maybe another second, BA comes open. If he had another second, he might not have had to lob it to Jennings in the corner, and then we go up a touchdown instead of having to kick a field goal right there. It was a blown assignment on the offense, and it was because we had some players that went down on the offensive side, on the O-line in particular. So, I mean, like, I get what both of you guys are saying about call better plays or maybe execute better, but we were there, guys. We were there. So I think, I don't know, but something has to come from within Kyle, and maybe
Right.
getting the play caller, maybe getting somebody to take it off his play sheet. But I even feel like he was aggressive enough to take the play sheet, the defensive calls from Wilkes in the Super Bowl. I believe because he made his decisions in the Super Bowl, we were playing as well as we were. Because I think he's a micromanager, and I think he goes over the top to make sure everything's in line. So I don't know if he trusts anybody enough to handle anything on their own, if that makes sense. I'm gonna give it to John Jay here real quick, but I think bringing in somebody like Bill Belichick to be the defensive coordinator is the one thing and the only thing that can get us over the top. John Jay, your thoughts on what we need to do to win the Super Bowl this year?
Like, for me, and this is just my opinion, this is just what I would do if I was Kyle, is that you had the offensive player of the year and you stopped running the football. In the third quarter, you only had 17 yards. Yes, there were bad, turnovers at the worst moment, and Kansas City capitalized. And even Chris Jones, that play that broke down, we can blame this guy. We can do the blaming game. I just think that Kyle needs to just look at the situation right there, not 5, 10, or, I'm going to look at the third overtime possession instead of thinking about focus right now, not something else. Yeah, Welks got fired, like in those last 2 drives was the worst moments of the defense. Someone talked about it. They had to take a timeout because he did not like what Steve Wilks was doing. So I just think that focus on each play at a time. It was 1 minute and 53 seconds. Brock Purdy, if he would have got that incompletion first down, they would have had to take those 2 timeouts. But what happened? And so I just want him to focus on each play, not the second quarter, the third quarter, fourth quarter, overtime, because I think he does way too much. Like, he overworks his brain. And until he does that, maybe that's what it has to take for him to win the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion and what I saw in the game.
I appreciate it, and I think I think we're all getting at it. I think maybe Kyle needs a little bit of help. Somebody he can feel like he can trust, can take some of the stress off of his plate, so he can focus. Let's give it to Terradome. We'll go Terradome, Spongy, and Anshaw, and then we'll go Kenny, David. Mr. Terradome, thank you so much for coming. Again, didn't mean to cut you off. I kind of get those vibes, man. It's like, what does faithful really mean? And then, sorry, everybody. I just don't know. I mean, like, I don't think being objective about the team is not being faithful. I don't think, being one player's fanboy is being faithful. I think you have to root for the entire team. And if heaven forbid, if there was an accident and every one of the 49ers died in a plane crash or something, right? Knock on wood, everybody, something, right? Wherever you can do it, right? But I'm telling you the truth.
What?
If it was like Marshall, right? The college football team, right? Where everybody just died. I'm still going to root for the 49ers. They're going to have another team. They're going to, from the ashes, they will rise. And, I don't want anybody to lose, but we even had a death. Our owner died during the football game in Kezar Stadium. And, we didn't stop the game. We kept playing. So I think being faithful is, being faithful in yourself and being confident in yourself and knowing who you are. And I know I'm a 49er fan, whether they play in San Francisco or Santa Clara, whether or not, Bob is their coach or Bill is their quarterback or that. So I don't care if they're flying planes over the stadium, saying fire the owner. I want them to win. So I think for me, again, being faithful and liking this team and wanting to see this team win, again, I like the players that's on this team right now, but the players can come and go. So I think that's really like coming to terms or coming to age is like, these guys aren't getting younger. They're only going to get older. I'm getting older. And I want to see it happen before I'm not here, or, these guys aren't here either. But again, they make their business decisions. They don't have to be loyal to the team. They don't have to be loyal to us fans. They can totally just walk right on by us. We don't have to matter at all to them because it's a job. It's a business decision. It's how they make money. Terradome, sorry for taking so much time. Your thoughts, what do the 49ers need? And if you want to elaborate to any of that I said, but what do the 49ers need to do? What does Kyle Shanahan need to do to get us over the hump? Because it doesn't seem like it's Jed York who's doing it. It doesn't.
Jed York's job is to put in place the best he can possibly put in place to do their job. The GM job and vice president of operations is to keep it all under cap and get the best he can possibly get in terms of talent on a team. The head coach's job, the buck stops here. He's probably the face of your franchise, and he's gonna do the subtle, nuanced things to be it's almost close to the quarterback. And we've been taking game manager very, very, it's like a pejorative term but you need to be the game executive. I'll throw that out now. I'm trying to, pull us up the flagpole to see if anybody salutes. There are people who are game executives, and a good coach and a good quarterback are game executives, just beyond a manager. A manager might be at Burger King, and the executive is running a Fortune 500 company, and the buck stops there. We got to take responsibility for what we do. That being said, in terms of fandom, in terms of faithful, you follow. Look at that logo behind David McNiner. Look at that logo behind yourself. Look at this logo behind me. It's the logo. It's the team. It's what's on front of the jersey, not behind it. And the iteration of, I hate to be that old guy, get off my lawn, but the little LeBron people, younger generation who says, well, I just follow the player. I got a Cleveland jersey, I got a Miami jersey, I got a Laker jersey, I got another Cleveland jersey. That's fine for you guys, but you're not a bad fan or faithful to say, hey, I think I got a problem here. I'm noticing a trend here, and we might have to do some drastic things to throw it up. Throw it to really put something in the air here. If I saw you blow a lead in a real big game in Atlanta, and then I saw you blow a lead here, and then I saw you blow a lead again here in real big games and real big moments, you can be a good coach and you're a wonderful coach. But hey, man, something wrong. We say 911. Hey, one's an aberration. 2 can be a coincidence. 3, that's a trend. It's something happening there, and you really gotta now. Don't just be Al Sharpton and say, "I think he should be fired," and not have a plan. But I seen a guy that used to be in New England with 6 of these bad boys. I seen a guy who used to be in Arizona who coached quarterbacks named Bruce Arians, who went over to Tampa Bay and won. Who's out there? I know they know how to get over the hump. And lastly, we got to look at some things like this too. In 1991, I'm the biggest Laker fan. I came of age in the 80s. I was like Spongy's age in the 80s. And we had a smoker in Los Angeles with Magic Johnson, Sam Perkins, James Worthy, Klay Thompson's dad, Michael Thompson. We had some good players and a wonderful team, and we were going to win I think it was going to be the franchise's 15th or 14th championship, but there was a special player out of Chicago who just came to town, and he's a once in a generational guy, and it wasn't nothing we could do. They was running Gatorade commercials and everything for him because he was just so special. We had the better team. We had just as good a coach. We had everything we thought we needed. We had a masterful, greatest point guard to ever play the game in Irvin Magic Johnson. But in 1991, man, sometimes I dream he is me. You got to see that's how I dream to be. Came and got us 4 games to 1. And it happens. You run up on, we lost to the same guy twice. And every now and again, you run up on something like that, a generational, transitional talent, and it's just not the time at that time for you. Or it just simply is his time. For whatever reason, luck and fortune just follows this guy, and things do happen. He was vanquishing some other people who a lot of people call elite. The elite police is out on a Josh Allen. How you think Josh Allen feel? How you think Lamar feels? All these people that winning all pros and MVPs and candidates and everything else, and they got good coaching and everything's right, but you're running up on that snag because of this dude. And then he changes players and you run up on the snag again. It can be a little of that, or a combination or an amalgamation of all of this occurring at one time. And just because you're looking at the whole picture objectively doesn't mean that you just hate you. I just don't like nobody. We never gonna win. It's never gonna happen. You might have to wait a little while longer for that thing to materialize and be what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
And some are not going to be here. Some are not going to be here.
I don't mean to cut you short, but I agree with you 100%. We could go on and on for this. I think, Kyle, if you go back and you listen to his presser, John and Lynch's press conference after the Super Bowl loss, you can clearly see right at the end of it, you hear the questions that they're asking Kyle. You know, he deserves to be asked the question, but at a certain point, you do have to feel for the man. He is a man. He's a human being, and you can see it deeply hurt him. He is wounded, and it does seem to be on his mind. He believes that there is a problem with him right now winning, and he does want to win. And it hasn't happened with the 49ers. But to say that the 49ers can't win, that's false. That's crazy. And he said it. Did maybe say he can't win? Well, maybe right now, currently, that's the narrative. But we've seen it with other teams. We've seen it with other coaches. They move on. They go different places. I believe he won a Super Bowl with Mike Gruden. John Gruden, I'm sorry, in Tampa Bay. I think he was the wide receiver coach, if I'm correct. And I know, I think he was water boy for the Broncos, for his dad in Denver, but other than that, he hasn't, the Atlanta job, we know he got to the championship and can't really blame. We've seen what he did as a head coach in the Super Bowl. So why didn't, his head coach take the reins from him and say, run the ball or whatever? So maybe he has learned from some of these prior mistakes. And now we're starting to see mature Kyle. But I can tell you what, if we win a Super Bowl, I think not everything's forgiven, but things are going to be forgotten a little bit, or it'll be easier to swallow.
Oh yeah.
I think if we lose the Super Bowl next year, I think a lot of things will have to change. I don't think they can justify getting to the playoffs after you have a Super Bowl championship team that's won 5 Super Bowls, and now we're on the verge of going 5-0, going 0-4. No, I don't think there would be anything that could save him. Let's go ahead and throw it to Spongy. You got your Eagles out. Let's hear what you got to say. What does your Eagles need to do? Because it's a fair question for you to get to the Super Bowl and win it. And then we're going to go to Anshaw, Kenny, and David, and we're going to end this, guys, because it's been a great Friday night.
Sorry, Pterodon.
What's
time. Sponge, what's your thoughts on the Eagles, and what do the Eagles need to do to get over the hump?
I think to get over the hump, I know we have a lot of vets already, but we need to have vets, because I know a lot of them are going to retire this year, maybe even all of them. We need guys who can actually lead, because guys like Darius Slay, they don't do that. Players will come out and said it. They don't lead the locker room. They don't do a good job at it, at being captains. They don't. But guys like Kelsey, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, all that stuff. Guys like them.
So you guys need to get it done this year, because you guys are going to retire out. Your window's closing.
Yeah, and certain positions, I think we'll draft a lot of their replacements this year, but that shouldn't be our main focus. Our main focus should be linebacker, maybe a wide receiver 3, maybe a backup tight end who's not Jack Stoll for when Dallas is out. And I think with coaching, I'm gonna cut this one a little short, but with coaching, we did get a vet. We got Vic Fangio on the defensive side, who we have had in the past. So hopefully it helps a little bit, especially with Sirianni not only being a coach for 3-4 years, something like being a head coach for 3-4 years. OC, and like all the other coaches that like linebackers coach, all that, we've hired guys who have a lot of experience. So I'm pretty excited for what we can do.
That's I'm going to cut you a little short. So it sounds like your offense and your veteran players on the offense and defense are at the point where retirement is a possibility. So it sounds like the leadership that your head coach is right now might not be the most mature. So it sounds like what they're doing is they're bringing in veteran coaches to help this veteran offense and defense, this veteran team get through with their younger head coach. Bunch, I appreciate you always for coming in. Let me go ahead and move on with to Anshul and get to Kenny and David so we can finish out our Friday night. I appreciate you so much, and your Eagles passion. Hey, you keep it. You just keep it there, because again, you got to be true to yourself. You could say faithful, or you could stay true to yourself, however you want to say it. But hey, I appreciate you for keeping your Eagles. Some people they change ships too quick. Anshul, what's your thoughts? What does Kyle need to do to win the Super Bowl?
I'm gonna say this, man. The game's won where in the trenches, and the defensive line, man, is pretty good. I do think they're gonna have to obviously add some depth there and figure out who is gonna be across from Nick Bosa, because they do have quite a few free agents, and a lot of these guys are young, kind of unproven guys, because we haven't really seen what they can do. So they're definitely gonna have to add to the defensive line. But the biggest need I see that this offseason that I saw a big problem in this game, and it's the same issue I saw in 2019. Invest on the offensive line. They need to spend the first 3 draft picks. Yes, I said 3 draft picks on the offensive line, man. They need to get that right side, because the problem is, like in 2019, right? They didn't invest on the offensive line. You had like Mike Persons and I forget who the backup center to
Weston Richburg.
Yeah, the
Weston
backup
Richburg.
the backup to Weston Richburg, and it's like, dude, come on. You need to invest on this offensive line, and they've partially done that with trading for 3rd and 5th round pick for Trent Williams, and then spending a 2nd round pick on Aaron Banks, who I think's fine. But I mean, they can even spend a draft pick on center, because we don't know how much Jacob Brendel, is going to last. He's getting older. So they just need to spend draft picks, on this offensive line, on the left, right side, and just for depth too, because I don't think they're really going to be able to do that in free agency. Maybe sign one guy, but, they'll have to clear some cap space. And I think this is kind of the year where it's like, what are they going to do in free agency? Because everybody I know last year was like, we need to get a defensive tackle. I know people are saying an edge rusher this year, but I still think it's, kind of up in the air. Like, what do they need to focus on in free agency? So, man, just please invest in the offensive line, because I think if you had invested in the offensive line, I don't think we're talking here being all depressed and sad that we lost the Super Bowl, because I think that beats, us having time to actually throw the football. The guys like Brandon Ayuk, because on that, even if it went to overtime, Brandon Ayuk was wide open in the middle. I think it was Snead. He beat Snead, man. Like, just get the
he beat
offensive
him
line.
like a rented
Yeah.
mule. He beat him. Yeah, it was nobody around.
Well, Jennings is open on a little whip route as well. So
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't have no chance to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry about that. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, you're good. So yeah, at the end of the day, like, there was guys open. It's just there was no time, and it wasn't just during that part of the game, right? Even when Philly Isiano went down, like Burford unfortunately just didn't have a good year this year. But again, still invest in the offensive line. Get a right tackle. Get a right guard, because I think Colton McKivitz is a solid depth piece. But again, they can do better.
Yeah,
I totally agree, and they got to get away from only going after people who can only run block. If you can't block and run block, I mean, I don't get it. You got to be able to pass block and run block, but they seem to only go after run blocking, and it seems like our team is developing or growing somehow, some way, we are leaning and going closer and closer to evolving to that's the word I was looking for, a passing team.
Mhm.
And sure, right now we are running the ball, and we that's our formula. But it seems like in the biggest games, when we're trying to win a game, we get out of our formula. So thank you so much, Anshul, for coming. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Kenny and then David. And thank you, man, so much. You are very, very intelligent, very smart. Your insight's awesome. And if people don't know about you, they definitely need to check your show out. I know you're right now taking a little bit of a break, but the Niner community is definitely better with you in it.
Appreciate that, man.
Kenny, buddy, dude, I appreciate you coming on. I know sometimes the bigger shows are a little bit, I'm not going to say, intimidating, but they can be a little bit of a different animal. But I know you can handle animals. I've been with you before, and you can get a critter down, no problem at all. So talking about this critter, and let's talk about this Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan has got to the Super Bowl a couple of times, championship games, and we've seen him lose it in multiple different ways. A dropped interception, a missed block, a overthrown Super Bowl pass. So how does Kyle do it? Does he put on the cleats himself? I mean, what's your thoughts, Kenny?
I think that the stars have to align for you to win a Super Bowl, unless it's scripted. It's funny because it's so hard to win a Super Bowl. Then how did the New England Patriots win 6? I guess they weren't that close together, but that is a lot of Super Bowls. I think number one, you need luck. Okay, I think if you're Kyle right now, you need a lot of luck because you've had the weapons. You've had now. I mean, I wouldn't say you had the quarterback just yet, but you may have found that quarterback. The defense is always certainly good enough to keep the offense in games. I've seen Kyle blow it in some big moments. He's made some bad decisions. I've called different plays than he has in the moment very often when he's made some bad plays. I'm not saying I call better plays than him, but he must have flaws. That he must maybe think too much, or maybe he's pulling stuff. Maybe he's just so smart. He's pulling things from other games and in specific situations that he's seen before, thinking that just because that has happened before, that it'll be the same outcome again. But because that's how his mind may work, he may be a very logical person and needs things to make sense. But it's all about luck and fate and the stars and a ball not going off of a rookie's foot, a rookie who wasn't even supposed to be playing this year, things like that. So all these things come together and give us the final product. And we've been the Chiefs. So I just try and stay calm about this. And I think that Kyle, I would like to stick with him. That's just me. I'm a loyal person. And I just think that, you send Andy Reid off when you're the Eagles, and now look who your coach is. That's kind of scary. And we remember Chip, and we remember Jim, and Mike Singletary, and this stuff. And right now I feel real good about that. I can watch 20 free games, a lot of years, for $0 because of Kyle, and the team that he puts together, and John, and Jed. And I do want to thank them all. I had a lot of fun this year. The Super Bowl was close. And I like to say things are rigged, but I think this year, besides that, we didn't get a holding call. They didn't get we didn't have the same amount of holding calls, or at least it was fair. Beyond that, it was a very fair, close game. I think Kyle really should have had this one, but he made mistakes. He definitely made mistakes. He went down to the stronger knight with more experience, with better armor, with a bigger sword, with more skills, if you want to get into like a Dungeons and Dragons metaphor, but you know what I mean? So he has to still slay this big dragon. He hasn't done it yet, but he really wants to. I know he wants to bring a trophy home to us. I know he loves us here. I know he loves the fans. He's just not good with people, maybe. He's trying to do his best, I believe. So I like Kyle. I want him to stay. But you have to know the overtime rules, especially when you're one of the only people, maybe the only person on the field that day who's been in another overtime Super Bowl.
All right.
And that's where I'll end that. I do want to say, I do remember what I was going to say to Terradome before. Our character cup runneth over. Because the more you lose, the more character you get, right? Well, our character cup has runneth over a million times, It's on the floor. Baristas are coming with mops. Teams of baristas at this point coming to clean that up. So we gotta
That's good.
tighten the screws, get it together, and everyone has to be on the same page. Like somebody said before, everyone made mistakes. They may have said it in the chat, but
Yeah.
everyone made mistakes, and it's because we went up against a team with a lot of experience, and it showed. And we'll get there. But you know, we were the Chiefs once, so they're having their little run now, and it is what it is. And we might have to just sit back and be one of those teams that lost to the Patriots in those years. You know, that just we were great, we felt good, we knew we were the better team, but we lost.
Oh
say-
boy,
I-
I agree with you. I'm sorry, dude. I agree with you. I hope we can figure out a way to become who we used to be. Go ahead, David Corona, and then
If
get to David McDonough.
if Kyle don't win it next year, I say he has to go because it's 7 years already, and you've been in 3 NFC championships, 2 Super Bowls, and he still can't get the job done. So if I'm the GM or the owner or whatever who does all that, I say, hey Kyle, you got one more shot. If you don't win the Super Bowl, you up by 10 points, you gotta go. Somebody else will take over and get over that hump.
Oh boy, it's really kind of makes you start to get sick. You know, like
And I understand that, especially if you're a young fan and you haven't watched every Super Bowl. Like, well, I haven't watched all of them, but the 4, and you haven't seen one, you feel like crap. I feel like I can wait because I've seen all those. But these young people, they're getting upset. I don't feel like they can go just like another team. I feel like that's really hard to do, but it starts to weigh on you, and you start to lose your patience and maybe even your interest.
I agree.
Mr. McDiner.
Sorry
dude,
about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine, Corona. You did great. Everybody's being awesome. We all are being able to hear each other. We're all being able to get our thoughts out, and this has been fire. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate you all for coming. Really do. Everybody in the chat too. Thank you, Mr. McDiner. You know, never last, not the one least at all, but the one that I had made wait. What's your thought? You have the opportunity to. You could either talk to Kyle or you could just let us know what you think Kyle needs to do. But if you could talk to Kyle or if you just want to give us a suggestion, what does Kyle need to do to win this Super Bowl?
Not be conservative. Number 1. Use the offensive player of the year instead of coming out in the third quarter and having 2 3 and outs. Don't outsmart yourself. That's what I saw after halftime. He's trying to outsmart himself. And, I mean, the players on the field, I think we have the team, the core. Yeah, you know, there's going to be some role players, some rotational guys changing out here and there. That's just what happens every offseason. But at this point, Kyle needs to get it done. And there have been a lot of 49er fans that were kind of upset about the extension that he got. And I'm kind of one of them because it's like, all right, Kyle, so here's some motivation. You see this humongous contract? See that bad boy? You win a Super Bowl, you're going to get signed that.
Oh yeah.
But they did it after the 3rd game. And it seems like ownership is content with being relevant but not winning it, which I look at that like that's a problem. You know, what happened to George Seifert after losing the 1996 championship game? Anybody?
Got fired.
He got fired. Ed DeBartolo Jr.
Shit canned.
And you know, it just comes a certain point in time where you're turning into the young Andy Reid here, Kyle. You are, buddy. Don't be that guy. You got this team. It's built. It's a really great team. You got to get it done. And honestly, it has been way too long. We're the San Francisco 49ers. We're not, you know, some team that's been around forever and never been to the Super Bowl. We're 5-time champions. And that's what the 49ers do, or at least that's what I thought. is that we were supposed to win Super Bowls. This has been a long time. I was actually, let's see, where was I? I was 18 barely when we won the last Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
been too
folks,
long.
I'm 47 years old. So,
Damn, that's a 18 to 47. That's
mhm.
I just totally agree with you, David. It doesn't seem to be all on Kyle. And to an extent, it is all on Kyle. But when your ownership is telling you it's okay to just get there, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. When the ownership is celebrating making it to the Super Bowl before you even play the game, that's our problem. We should be excited that we won the game, but we should be focused on winning the next game, right? Because the season's not over until you lift that Lombardi. But they were celebrating after the NFC Championship game. So I just hope, if the 49ers are listening, understand that, everybody here is primarily a 49er fan and wants the best for the team. I think everybody 100% wants the best for the team. If you need help and you want to reach out to any one of us here, I'm sure you can find us on social media. I'm sure any one of us would take a job. But that's not probably what's going to happen. But we're just here giving you our thoughts. The 49ers are, a great team, and we just want to see them lift that Lombardi one more time. Guys, thank you so much for coming. The descriptions for everybody's channel will be in the chat afterwards, after the show's over. Turn your notifications on. Please subscribe to everybody here. We work together. We have a lot of fun with us and other people as well. Some people you might not see right now. They'll be back. With that, I'm going to drop the outro. It was the intro, and I hope you guys, enjoy it. It's like a thank you. And I really do appreciate all of you here and all the work we've had and the great memories. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for going. Don't leave. Watch it till the end. And I appreciate you. We'll be back in the morning. If you guys have an opportunity, join us for a little bit of coffee talk in the morning. And with that, guys, we are out.